Chapter 21 FKU? Asshole. The moment he was held by Naruto, Abarame reacted and wanted to pull away, but the palm holding him was like an iron pincer, making it impossible for him to break free. So much so that now that he is being grabbed by the neck and lifted up, life or death is not up to him. After Fengxu used Nine Tails chakra to disperse the poisonous mist around him, he raised the Abarame root in front of his eyes and asked indifferently, "Tell me, who sent you to deceive us? If you tell me the truth, I might spare your life." Although he knew that the person behind the scenes was Danzo, Fengxu still pretended to ask, "Hey, didn't school teach you the ninja code?" Abarame's face was full of disdain, and he had no intention of being caught and made a prisoner. "Come if you have any means, but I advise you to hurry up, otherwise you won't have a chance when someone comes later." As Danzo's right-hand man, Abarame is not worried about being in danger if he is caught. But the danger is that there is no danger, but it will leave excuses for Sarutobi Hiruzen and rectification. Moreover, he failed the mission and was caught, so he had no face-to-face Danzo. So now he wants to kill him to avoid causing trouble to Danzo later. After death, the tongue-eradicating mark on his tongue will also destroy his head, leaving no clues. "You have a backbone. I like your toughness." As he spoke, the chakra fox tail behind Fengxu suddenly stabbed out and penetrated Abarame's wrist. Aha! A painful groan sounded, and Abarame stared at Fengxu coldly, with a provocative smile on his lips. Fengxu was not merciless and controlled the fox tail to thrust out 3 more times. There were big bloody holes in the joints of Abarame's hands and feet. If this kind of injury is not treated with medical ninjutsu to stop the bleeding in time, his hands and feet will be useless in the future. Obviously, Abarame understands his current situation. His face suddenly turned pale, and his eyes were full of despair. Even the shouting in his mouth stopped, like a numb corpse at his mercy. Fengxu didn't stop because of Abarame's expression. Instead, he became interested and kept poking bloody holes in his body with his fox tail. In consciousness, Naruto's anger was almost gone now. Fengxu's side also lost the reminder of the increase in blackening value. Current blackening value, 4,800. Looking at Abarame's miserable appearance outside, Naruto felt both admiration and sympathy. Fengxu, he's already like this and has received the punishment he deserves. How about we let him go? After all, Naruto is not Fengxu's darkened personality dominated by painful memories. Therefore, the hostility is not that great, and even the enemies are treated with compassion. Are you interceding for your enemy? Fengxu frowned, and his mind flashed through the scenes in the original plot where Naruto forgave and understood his enemies again and again. Inexplicably, he felt a little nauseous. He seemed to feel the suppressed anger in Fengxu's tone. Naruto quickly replied, No, it's just that I don't think his crime warrants death. It's enough to receive the punishment he deserves. Besides, he's not the culprit. He's just a ninja who followed orders. He gave up his life with all his strength in order to complete the mission, and he didn't betray him even though he was being tortured. He's kind of cool. I don't want you to turn into a cold-blooded murderer, so I'd better hand him over to the village. With that said, Naruto brought out Fengxu's previous promise. And you also promised me that you won't use my body to kill people. Leave him to the village. Fengxu laughed a little angrily. He could imagine what would happen. As soon as this place was handed over to the village, Danzo, the backup man, paid a price to take the people away. Was he fighting life and death just to benefit Sarutobi Hiruzen? You don't recognize his outfit, do you? He is a ninja of Konoha. Do you expect the village to punish him? Naruto nodded. I believe in the village and Grandpa 3rd generation. AFKU. Being immersed in the situation, nameless anger filled my heart. Fengxu, who cursed angrily, stopped talking nonsense. The pale red fox tail pointed directly at Abarame's throat. Danzo will definitely be an enemy in the future, and he has no habit of letting the tiger go back to the mountain. You bastard, stop it. Hard-turning technique. When Fengxu took action, roars came from the forest of death. At the same time, there were a bunch of kunao shurikens and a weird spiritual energy flying out. Unfortunately, it was of no use, as the hidden weapon was blocked by the tailed beast's coat formed by the Nine Tails chakra. The mental energy was easily dodged by Fengxu as he tilted his head. Abarame's throat was successfully penetrated. His eyes lost their luster at a speed visible to the naked eye, and his hands and feet drooped weakly. Naruto also reacted from the shock of being scolded. Screamed in consciousness. Fengxu, kill him, kill him. You murderer, I don't want to give you my body, I hate you. Get out of here and give me my body back. Host personality trust dependence value, 10%. A huge suction force suddenly occurred, and Fengxu's consciousness was on the verge of collapse. He resisted vigorously and reluctantly turned his head and left a word behind him. Theatergoers, my time has come. The moment he finished speaking, Nine Tails chakra suddenly disappeared without a trace. The lifted Abarame fell to the ground from midair. Only Naruto was left standing there, his face full of grief and regret. Sad Fengxu's cold-bloodedness and cruelty. I regretted that I didn't take control of my body earlier. Tisk, 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 so you discovered me a long time ago. As expected of a personality that has mastered the power of 9 tails, it is truly amazing. The white-haired fisheye wearing a mask jumped down from the tree and stood in front of Naruto. There is also a book called Yang Aming in his hand. Even when he was talking, his eyes were still staring at the content of the book. Hey, take Kakashi. The people in the Forest of Death also showed their faces. It is Yamanaka Feng, who is also Danzo's right-hand man. Behind him were a group of masked root ninjas. That's all for today. You can take the body back by yourself. Kakashi closed the book in his hand and looked up at the people in front of him, with warning in his eyes. Otherwise I wouldn't mind letting you lie down a few more times. Yamanaka Feng, who knew Kakashi's strength well, did not say harsh words. He waved someone to lift Abarame's body, turned around and left. Behind, Sakura Sasuke also stepped forward to join Naruto. After the three of them whispered for a few words, they looked at Kakashi warily. It's really troublesome. Kakashi breathed out, and the dead fish's eyes were full of helplessness. No one knew that Danzo's hands were so fast and he was so courageous. Just after the quarrel in the morning, they started kidnapping people at noon. But being able to see Naruto's sub-personality take action, Kakashi felt it was quite worthwhile. Sure enough, just like the information, Naruto would come out to fight if he was in danger. Although his methods are very ruthless, his personality is also quite perverse. But it is a very good protective barrier. All I can say is that he is worthy of being the son of teacher Minato, and he is born to be different from ordinary people. As for whether this personality is the consciousness of Nine Tails, Kakashi had just used Sharingan to peek at it, and Nine Tails was still safely inside the seal. She even glared at him for peeping. Don't look at me like that, I'm your leading teacher, hey take Kakashi. I know you don't believe it. Come with me now and I will take you to see Iruka. Chapter 22 Naruto's Mental Journey. Because there are lessons learned from Abarame's roots. Naturally, the three of them, Kakashi and Naruto, couldn't completely believe Kakashi, who claimed to be the leader of the team. Kakashi also understood, so he took the three of them along the road with people. Soon he returned to the ninja school. The anxious Iruka breathed a sigh of relief and felt relieved after seeing the three people safe and sound. After further explanations to the three of them, they finally recognized Kakashi as the real leader. Just because you recognize me doesn't mean that I recognize you. Kakashi opened the young man aiming again and said while flipping through it. Although you have done quite well before and were not fooled into your lair by false teachers. But if you want to be led by me and grow into a qualified ninja, you still need to accept some assessments. Accept the assessment. Sakura's face was full of confusion. She also turned to look at Naruto and Sasuke beside her. She hoped to see the two of them having the same doubts as her. It's a pity that Sasuke lowered his head and didn't know what he was thinking, while Naruto stared at the sky in a daze, with some regret on his face from time to time. Apparently he hasn't gotten over the previous incident of Abarame taking his roots. So she had no choice but to ask herself, we have obviously graduated successfully, does that still count as passing the assessment? Kakashi glanced approvingly at Sakura who answered his words, and then said, that's just the school's graduation assessment for you. I'm talking about your genin assessment. Anyway, if you can't pass, then you have no choice but to go back home and go to ninja school again. Speaking of this, a trace of evil intentions flashed across Kakashi's face. By the way, a warm reminder. Among the 27 graduates this time, only 9 will be recognized as genin, and the elimination rate is 70%. This time even Sasuke and Naruto, who didn't listen much, were a little frightened. Everyone paid attention. They don't want to go back to school and repeat another year. Well, specifically, tomorrow we need to carry out a mission called a wilderness survival exercise. And in this exercise mission, your opponent is me. As he spoke, Kakashi also showed a scary face. Seeing that the three people didn't react much, Kakashi retracted his expression with some disappointment. It seems that the incident with the fake team leader just now has a big impact on you. In this case, let's forget about the self-introduction part. I guess you have gotten to know each other quite well before. Then disband now and see you at the training ground tomorrow morning. Kakashi stood up and planned to leave. But something suddenly occurred to him and he added something. Remember not to eat breakfast, otherwise you will feel uncomfortable vomiting and don't blame me. Well, everyone, see you tomorrow. After the explanation, Kakashi disappeared from the place in a flash. I'm going back first, see you tomorrow. After Kakashi left, Naruto, who looked a little gloomy, also stood up and left. Naruto. Looking at Naruto walking away, worry appeared on Sakura's face. At the same time, he turned to look at Sasuke. Naruto, there seems to be something wrong with him. He was a little too silent just now, not like him at all. Sasuke naturally discovered Naruto's problem, but he seemed to have guessed something. His lips moved and he finally didn't intend to share it with Sakura, but said coldly, Naruto is stronger than you think. Rather than worrying about this, you should worry about yourself. With the level of ninja you have shown so far, it's best to think about how to avoid being eliminated. After saying that, he ignored Sakura, put his hands in his pockets and jumped directly to the roof of the opposite building, and shuttled away. Sakura. Lies won't hurt, the truth is the sharpest knife. Sakura also quickly withdrew her concern and walked towards home in distress. After returning home, Naruto lay on the bed in a daze. Feeling the empty home and the quiet mind, he got up and opened the window with some boredom. Night light shone through the window and illuminated the half-written manuscript on the table. Recalling every bit of the previous events, Naruto felt a little regretful. Ever since Fengxu appeared, he has been very kind to him. Not only did she chat with him, help him make money, protect him when he was in danger, but also helped him pick up Sakura. But today, for an enemy with malicious intentions, he spoke harshly to Fengxu and said he hated Fengxu. Thinking about it now, Naruto felt that he was a little ungrateful. But when Naruto thought that Fengxu didn't listen to him and insisted on killing Abarame to get the root, the feeling that seemed like anger, but not anger, and mixed with some panic came over me again. In short, it was the kind of emotion that made Fengxu feel uncomfortable and wanted to vent if he didn't do as he was told. Do you want to apologize to Fengxu? After all, Fengxu is so good to me, just like an older brother who protects his younger brother. Naruto looked at the night scene outside the window with a troubled expression. But he killed someone again, and he did it despite my repeated prohibitions, and he was very cruel. If this continues, will he hurt my friends and Sakura in the future? It's only right that he apologizes. And it's been so long, and you haven't explained to me or spoken to me. What do you mean? With hesitation, Naruto sat at the table with his head in distress. Host personality trust dependence value, 20%. In his consciousness, Fengxu saw the system prompts and raised a smile on his lips. Afterwards, he simply disappeared without saying a word or explaining his behavior. The purpose was to make Naruto, who was accustomed to his presence, aware of the discomfort after losing him. Obviously, Fengxu succeeded, and Naruto fell in love with him. Although it suddenly dropped by 30% to only 10%, Fengxu lost his vision and voice from the outside world. But Fengxu could feel the complex and changing emotions in Naruto's heart extremely clearly. To put it bluntly, when killing Abarame to get the root, the reason why Naruto reacted so strongly was not just because Fengxu killed someone. It was more because Fengxu was out of control, which made Naruto feel uneasy and panicked. Maybe Naruto himself didn't know that in his subconscious, he was more controlling and wary of Fengxu. This should be regarded as the natural attitude of the main personality towards the subpersonality, but Naruto himself does not understand it. I don't know how much time has passed. It wasn't until the light outside the window was too weak to be seen that Naruto finally made up his mind. He said solemnly in a sincere tone, Fengxu, I'm sorry, it was my fault this afternoon, I shouldn't yell at you and scold you. Before Fengxu could reply in his consciousness, Naruto continued. In order to prevent you from being so fierce and scary again, I will work hard to learn ninjutsu to protect myself and try not to let you come out to fight. But I will compensate you in my daily life and let you come out to breathe more. Chapter 23 Whether to have breakfast or not, that is a question. These are the ideas that Naruto came up with after thinking about it all night. Since Fengxu couldn't be changed, he would start with himself. I'm stupid. I don't know how to prevent you from killing people, but I can try to avoid letting you come out to fight. So don't be angry anymore. I won't be angry with you this afternoon, just treat our mistakes as offset. After making such a long call, Naruto pricked up his ears in anticipation. But Fengxu's voice didn't come for a long time. Just when Naruto's inner disappointment and grievance was about to overflow, finally, a soft hum from Fengxu came. You are the main character and you have the final say. After receiving Fengxu's answer, Naruto immediately raised a big smile. The body also stood up from the stool, dancing excitedly. Great, I knew you wouldn't be so stingy, Fengxu. Host personality trust dependence value, 30%. Fengxu in his consciousness also gained the voice and vision of the outside world again. After the conflict was resolved and the idea came to mind, Naruto's stomach suddenly growled. Because he had a fight with Fengxu in the afternoon, he kept thinking about it and forgot to eat. Now that the matter was resolved, a huge sense of hunger instantly overwhelmed him and made him collapse on the bed. I'm so hungry, I really want to eat ramen. He glanced at the pitch-black sky outside and the buildings without lights. Naruto had no intention of going out and could only accept a glass of fruit. Because of Fengxu's request, all the expired milk and instant noodles were thrown away. And because I was a little busy these 2 days, I couldn't go to the supermarket to buy it. Isn't there some dried noodles in the refrigerator? Seeing that Naruto drank a glass of water and was going to sleep, Fengxu couldn't help but frown. From now on, it's his body, and Naruto can't let him do whatever he wants. Besides, this memory of hunger will definitely come from Naruto for him to feel again later, and he doesn't want to experience it. Noodles. Naruto looked confused. The dried noodles in the refrigerator were bought by him a long time ago, but unfortunately they were cooked once and were not tasty and then forgotten. Forget it, let me out and I'll get you something to eat. The seasonings in the kitchen are quite complete and have not expired. They were all bought by Naruto to use on the fish and wild vegetables he caught when his living expenses were not enough. Get something to eat. Great. Naruto gave up control of his body without saying a word. While watching Fengxu cooking noodles curiously, he and Fengxu talked about Kakashi in the afternoon and tomorrow's wilderness survival drill. Early the next morning, Naruto, who was woken up by the alarm clock, yawned and set off. With the help of Naruto's vision, Fengxu discovered that the number of umbu around Naruto increased significantly. It seems that after yesterday's incident, Sarutobi Hiruzen became more protective of Naruto. However, this also shows that Sarutobi Hiruzen has not yet defeated Danzo. Danzo did not give up on Naruto, or rather on him. After all, a general was lost, and Fengxu's character was so dangerous. If Fengxu were Danzo, he would not give up. Naruto, don't forget to have breakfast. Fengxu, who knew the original plot, would naturally not let Naruto skip breakfast as Kakashi said. He could experience the feeling of being hungry all morning from Naruto. I didn't forget, I'll buy it right now. Naruto also chose a store honestly and went in to buy 3 fried noodles bread and 3 cartons of milk. Because Naruto had trouble with a store before, the store didn't dare to give him expired items, nor did they dare to scold Naruto. Obviously, this store is also afraid that Naruto's visit will ruin their reputation and cause no one to patronize it. Training course. Sasuke and Sakura have arrived early and are waiting here. The two of them looked at Naruto, who was eating fried noodles and bread, drinking milk, and running towards this side, with black lines on his face. However, the two of them understood that Naruto could do such a thing. Moreover, Naruto was not as silent and quiet as yesterday, which also made the two people's worries disappear. Good morning, Sakura, Sasuke. Chewing noodles in his mouth, Naruto said hello inarticulately. Sakura asked with a dark face, Naruto, didn't Mr. Kakashi say it's best not to eat in the morning to avoid vomiting? It's best not to eat it. It's not that you can't eat it. We'll decide whether to vomit it or not later. Naruto took a sip of milk nonchalantly, and then handed out the two prepared portions. Do you want to eat it? I bought you one too. I won't eat it. If Mr. Kakashi decides that you fail because of this matter later, just don't cry. Sakura swallowed, turned her head and angrily rejected Naruto. She was already worried that she wouldn't be able to pass, and now she didn't even dare to violate Kakashi's words yesterday. Where's Sasuke? Naruto looked at Sasuke. With a thoughtful look on his face, Sasuke turned his head and looked around before shaking his head. Let's take a look first and then talk. Sasuke didn't say no explicitly. Because Kakashi didn't arrive for a long time, he discovered some clues. He guessed that Kakashi threatened them not to eat breakfast, and there might be some conspiracy, such as deliberately starving them. Sure enough, an hour passed. Kakashi was still nowhere to be seen. Sasuke looked like I had guessed it, and reached out to take the fried noodles, bread and milk from Naruto's arms. Thank you. After saying thank you, I started eating with big mouthfuls. Sasuke, why even you? Sakura saw Sasuke's actions with a look of confusion. Isn't Sasuke also afraid of being punished by Kakashi-sensei and causing failure? Eat when you're hungry, don't eat if you're afraid of vomiting. It's that simple. Sasuke frowned and didn't give Sakura a good look. Obviously, my grades in school were pretty good, but after practice, I didn't have any analysis of my own and could only ask others. Seeing Sasuke being so rude to Sakura, Naruto glared at him. Then he stuffed the remaining fried noodles, bread, and milk into Sakura's hands. Sakura, let's ignore him and just eat. It will definitely be fine. But Sakura clutched her growling stomach, still hesitant. It's no problem, and I've already guessed Mr. Kakashi's purpose. Naruto raised his little face, looking proud that I didn't want to say it, but I had to say it for you. It's actually very simple. Mr. Kakashi was able to defeat those ninjas by himself yesterday, so he must be very strong. And he is our opponent in this mission. Do you think he wants to eliminate us maliciously? Without giving the two a chance to answer, Naruto waved his hand directly. Definitely not, otherwise there would be no need to spend so much time on this task. So he wants to test whether we can work as a team. As for saying not to eat breakfast, it is simply to make us hungry and affect our judgment. Even during the assessment process, there will be various traps waiting for us to step on, which will hinder our cooperation. These are the exact words Fengxu said to Naruto yesterday. Naruto now acted out the words verbatim. The effect is also very significant. Sakura was dumbfounded, and Sasuke also looked shocked. Chapter 24 Teamwork. It turns out it's teamwork. The two of them didn't expect that Naruto, who was at the bottom of the school in terms of grades and abilities, could analyze it so thoroughly. Sakura stopped talking. She had been worried about being eliminated since last night and had never thought about analysis and assessment. Although Sasuke analyzed a lot of things, he really didn't expect the final teamwork. This can also explain why there are 3 people in groups. After Sasuke exhaled, he turned his head and looked at Naruto steadily. These should be told by the person inside you, right? He is really powerful and smart, but I suggest you not to rely too much on him. He is very dangerous. Naruto, who was still laughing proudly, suddenly stopped laughing. There was a guilty conscience on his face, and he spoke harshly without giving up. How do you know? It's not my fault. You're just jealous that I'm smarter than you and can analyze things better than you. Sakura also agreed with Sasuke's words, and there was no longer any shock in her eyes when she looked at Naruto. I couldn't analyze well in the analysis classes at school before, but after graduation I suddenly became very fluent in analysis. Naruto, are you lying to ghosts? Sakura also still has fresh memories of the wind deficiency in Naruto's body. Powerful but cruel, it took only a short time to kill Jonin, who pretended to be a teacher. If Naruto's analysis was informed by him, it couldn't be more reasonable. Fengxu is my secondary personality, and what he said is not the same as what I said. Naruto frowned and refused to admit that his analysis was poor. Fengxu? Subpersonality, X2. Sakura and Sasuke both looked at Naruto with searching eyes. The two of them had some guesses about the person inside Naruto, but they did not take the initiative to ask. After all, every ninja has his or her own secrets. Excessively exploring other people's secrets will only make people annoying. Naruto didn't care and shared it with the two of them. They were all partners from now on, so there was no need to hide it. That's roughly it. Uzumaki Naruto and Uzumaki Fengxu are both me, two sides of the same object. After listening to Naruto's words, both of them sighed. Sakura understands Naruto's past experiences better and sympathizes with him more. Sasuke was a little envious that Naruto had such a powerful helper. If he could have such a powerful sub-personality, he might be able to kill Uchiha Itachi soon. There are indeed two sides, one is the rear side of the crane, and the other is the leading side. After Sasuke said something sour, he changed the subject and said seriously, "That's all for Naruto. Later I think we need to discuss the division of labor within the team. Now that Kakashi's assessment indicators have been analyzed, of course, we must do our best according to the indicators. In order to avoid being judged as unqualified due to incorrect division of labor. How to distribute?" Naruto looked at the two of them questioningly. This kind of mental thing is not his area of expertise. Of course it is divided into main attack, feint attack, and overall command. Sakura quickly said what was taught in class before. Sasuke also nodded, and then looked at Naruto again. "Will your sub-personality Uzumaki Fengxu take action then?" "No, I've already planned to keep him from fighting as much as possible. Every time I take action, it's too scary." Naruto waved his hands repeatedly. He didn't want his leading teacher to be beaten to death. "Then your multiple shadow clone, can you separate as many as shown before every time?" "I could before, but now I can't. Now there are only a dozen or so at most. There is a slight problem with what is written here. It means that Naruto did not have much control in the past, so he relied on the seal to convert more Nine Tails chakra. It also leads to difficulty in placing ninjutsu." Naruto made a sad face, looking like I was very unlucky. "It's because of the fake teacher who patted my belly yesterday, and I felt that my chakra was missing a lot. But I can successfully release the three-body technique, and it won't fail. Because the 5 elements seal will prevent the 8-sign seal from converting the 9 tails chakra into Naruto's own chakra. Therefore, Naruto felt that the amount of chakra he had decreased, and the number of multiple shadow clone was also reduced. Originally, this result would cause chaos after the two chakras coexisted, leaving Naruto unable to control the chakra at all. But it happened that Fengxu redeemed the 9 tails chakra provided by the system, which was still completely controlled. This also caused Naruto's body to be affected by this control, so that the 9 tails chakra that could not be transformed was not regarded as other chakra, and no disorder was caused. No clutter, and less excess chakra. The combination of these two factors makes Naruto now very comfortable in controlling chakra and can successfully release the 3-body technique. Is that so? Then I will be the main attacker, you will assist me with feint attacks, and Sakura will support us by looking at the overall situation. Sasuke quickly arranged preliminary tactical assignments. The rest can only be done on the spot. After all, this is their first cooperation, and being too meticulous will limit their efforts. As expected of Sasuke, he was so handsome when he was assigned so quickly. Sakura was the first to agree, and at the same time she twisted her body crazily. Naruto on the side looked at Sasuke angrily, thinking that Sasuke wanted to steal his limelight to make Sakura like him. Why are you the main attacker and not me? I want to be the main attacker. Okay, then you will attack and I will feint. Sasuke was too lazy to fight with Naruto, so it would be easier to feign attack on him. Anyway, it's teamwork that's being assessed, and it doesn't matter which position. As the sun rises to 3 poles, the sun is almost overhead. Kakashi finally arrived belatedly carrying his bag. Hey, good morning. You are late. Sakura, Naruto, and Sasuke all glared at Kakashi. They arrived at 6 o'clock in the morning, but it was almost noon before Kakashi came. Fortunately, Naruto was smarter and brought them a portion of fried noodles, bread, and milk. Otherwise, they would definitely be hungry now with their chests pressed against their backs. Sorry everyone, I'm not late, I'm just lost on the road of life. I lost track of time because I was reading the book Little Emperor Uncle by Young Aming. Isn't this just getting lost on the road of life? It's all the fault of the author of this novel, who made the novel more beautiful than Kissing Heaven, which made him lose track of time. Kakashi put the blame on Naruto without hesitation in his heart, although he did not know that Naruto was the author. Okay, calm down, this is also part of the assessment. As he spoke, Kakashi took out an alarm clock and 2 bells from the bag behind his back. It's actually 11 o'clock. Ahem, I'll set the alarm clock to 12 o'clock now. You have 1 hour to snatch 2 bells from me. Those who do not grab the bell after the time is up will not be eligible for lunch, and will be tied to those pillars to watch me eat. After saying that, Kakashi pointed to the 3 wooden pillars standing nearby. So that's why he threatened us to skip breakfast. Sakura and Sasuke felt happy again for eating the food Naruto brought. But before their rejoicing could end, Kakashi said with a sinister smile. And there are only 2 bells, so one of them is destined to be tied to the pillar, and will be judged as unqualified by me and will have to go back to school to retake it. All 3 of them had joy on their faces. Sure enough, it is the same as the analysis just mentioned. From the beginning, the plan was to drive a wedge between them so that they could not cooperate and fight independently. If they really fight on their own, they will definitely not be able to grab a bell, and then everyone will be eliminated. Tisk, your mental quality is really good. No one is surprised. To be honest, I'm starting to look forward to you. Seeing the calm expressions of the 3 of them, Kakashi's eyes showed admiration. Then he leisurely took out the young man Aming from his bag and spoke. Okay, enough of the nonsense, let's get started. Chapter 25 Let that guy out of your body quickly. The moment when the 2 words started to fall to the ground, the 3 Narutos on the opposite side immediately distanced themselves from Kakashi. Together they hid in the surrounding trees. Keep a distance, and then hide and observe with concealed aura. Yes, it seems that the school knowledge has not been returned. Kakashi, who stood still, nodded with satisfaction. Then he continued to look down at the book in his hand without caring. Seeing Kakashi being so supportive, Naruto was also a little annoyed at being underestimated. Kakashi-sensei didn't even hide for a moment, he really didn't take us seriously at all. Isn't he afraid that I will ask Fengxu to come out and beat him? Hearing Naruto's shouting, Sakura immediately turned around expectantly. Naruto, I agree with your idea, this way we will definitely be able to grab the bell and pass the assessment. Thinking of Fengxu who beat up the fake teacher yesterday, Sakura felt inexplicably excited. Maybe she just likes the kind of cold and strong type of person. Well, it's better for us to do this assessment by ourselves, don't you think so, Sasuke? Naruto said it casually, but he didn't expect Sakura to take him seriously. But he couldn't bear to reject Sakura, so he looked to Sasuke next to him for help. Sasuke gave Sakura a cold look. There was even more disgust and disdain in his eyes. Naruto has already said that he should try not to let his sub-personality fight. If your memory is bad, go and have your brain treated. Being looked at by Sasuke like this again made Sakura feel aggrieved and wanted to cry. It was obviously Naruto who said it himself, she just climbed up the pole, but now it is her fault. I didn't. I just said it casually. I don't have any problem with Naruto not wanting to do it. Sasuke was too lazy to continue talking, and stared at Kakashi again, and continued to speak. It's the same as the tactics we just discussed. Naruto will attack, I will assist, and Sakura will monitor the situation and provide remote support. Does anyone else think differently? No. Naruto and Sakura shook her head. Then let me remind you one last time, the assessment is teamwork, and mutual cooperation is the key to scoring. Sasuke's body bowed slightly, his calves tensed. Do it. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. When the words fell, all three people turned into an afterimage and jumped out. Naruto was in front, Sasuke was behind, and Sakura was holding a shuriken in her hand, occupying a high branch with a wide view. Does the team work together? You can actually have this kind of awareness on your first mission. You are so much better than those guys before who just wanted to express themselves. Although Kakashi's face showed that he didn't care and just wanted to read a book. But he kept observing the three of them from the corner of his eye. I am also very satisfied with the current performance of the three of them. Even in the end, the three of them failed to pass the mental test that their companions were greater than their mission. With this keen awareness, Kakashi believes that he can also help them correct their thinking without actually eliminating them. Naturally, Naruto and the other two didn't know that they were already qualified at this moment. Their current goal is to grab the bell around Kakashi's waist. Naruto, when you get close, use multiple shadow clone and I will attract the teacher's attention. Good. After a brief conversation, the two came to Kakashi's front. Naruto's footsteps suddenly stopped and his hands began to form seals. Sasuke quickly twisted his wrist and fired a dozen shurikens at Kakashi from the left and right sides. Uchiha-style throwing technique. Throwing concealed weapons in an open and honest manner is useless. Kakashi didn't even raise his head, he just stepped back and dodged the incoming shuriken. Then he bowed forward and dodged Sakura's shuriken behind him. The flanking attack from the front and back is not bad, but the throwing skills from behind are a bit poor, otherwise I would have to use weapons to block. Kakashi kept making comments with a smile on his face. Don't be so proud. Look at how powerful my shadow clone technique is. After attracting the attention of the two, Naruto also successfully separated 10 shadow clone, and then all rushed towards Kakashi. Sasuke quickly followed Naruto and whispered, Naruto, use your clone to restrain him, and your real body will dodge first. Although he didn't know why, Naruto still nodded as he knew he wanted to cooperate. Immediately, the real body fell one step behind, and all the clones pressed against Kakashi, hugging his limbs tightly and touching them like bells around his waist. High quantity but low quality is useless. Kakashi took out his left hand from his pocket, without even using a weapon. He only hit Naruto's clone with a few blows, making Naruto let go in pain. However, 10 clones followed one after another, and Kakashi was temporarily entangled in the same place. Seeing that Kakashi was successfully entangled, Sasuke from behind had a sneer on his face and quickly formed ninja seals in his hands. Siwei Shenhai Wuyin. Teacher, you lose. Sasuke's hands were clenched, his index and middle fingers were raised in front of his mouth, and his cheeks were bulging high. Fire style, great fireball technique. A ball of fire with a radius of 1 meter long was spit out from Sasuke's mouth, and the target was Kakashi who was entangled by Naruto's clone. It's a C-rank ninjutsu. I didn't expect that besides Naruto, who is a weirdo, there is also a good talent like Sasuke. Kakashi's eyes widened in shock, full of joy. Immediately afterwards his whole body was wrapped in a ball of fire. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto also shouted in disbelief. Then he turned to glare at Sasuke and grabbed his collar. Asshole Sasuke, you've gone too far. Just as Sasuke was about to say something, he heard Sakura's urgent voice in the distance. It's a substitute technique, please be careful up there. Above. Both of them were startled, and just as they were about to hide away, they heard a voice coming from above their heads. If you start fighting among yourself without confirming your opponent's status, you will be deducted points for this. Kakashi squatted on the tree trunk, still holding the young man's book in his hand. But the next second, he appeared in front of the two of them with a rope in his hand. At this time, several circles of flying ropes suddenly appeared in midair. Kakashi in front of them pulled gently, and the rope quickly contracted, tying them up and hanging them on the tree. So fast, so strong. Is this the strength of elite Jonin? Sasuke said in shock. The action just now was completed in the blink of an eye, and he had no time to dodge. Naruto was yelling, obviously very unconvinced. It doesn't count if you do a sneak attack. If you have the ability, you can compete with me openly. There is no such thing as a sneak attack on the battlefield. Kakashi tightened the rope and completely tied the two of them to the tree trunk. Then he raised his head slightly and looked at Naruto. What should I say? Let the guy inside you come out. Otherwise I'm going to catch Sakura. No need, I can defeat you on my own. Naruto struggled with his arms and legs waving desperately. Unfortunately, Kakashi was tied too tightly and there was no way to break free without external force. Tisk, you are really a child with a bad temper and only talk big words. Kakashi curled his lips and looked at the young man aiming in his hand again, but he still said excitedly. It's better to let him come out, otherwise you will really fail. Is he afraid of coming out because he's afraid of me? Fengxu won't be afraid of you. Naruto yelled angrily, if you really come out, I can beat you to death with one hand. Oh. Kakashi looked unhappily and loosened the rope in his hand, then pulled it up again. Naruto and Sasuke followed suit, jumping up and down, just like bungee jumping. At this time, Fengxu in his consciousness could no longer stand it. Originally he wasn't going to care about it, but since Kakashi dared to provoke him, what if he gave Kakashi a defeat? Then he said, Naruto, I have a way to let you win without coming out. Chapter 26 Fengxu's Guidance, Successful Victory? You can help me win without coming out. Naruto, who was feeling dizzy from being shaken up and down, suddenly became energetic when he heard Fengxu's voice. He hurriedly suppressed his physical discomfort and asked repeatedly in his heart, how can you help me win? Are you going to teach me how to use the power of 9 tails? Fengxu sneered and shook his head, I think you are thinking about shit. I can't teach you this. It's up to you. What Fengxu said was also true. His 9 tails is the power given by the system, and he is the master. Naruto's 9 tails is a sealed-tailed beast, so if you want power, you have to find 9 tails. It can't come out, and it can't make me stronger, so what should I do? Naruto pursed his lips, feeling a little aggrieved and angry. He felt that Fengxu was just teasing him and taking advantage of him. Naruto, the way to solve problems is not only violence, but also your rusty elm brain. Fengxu hated that iron could not become steel. Forget about the Holy Mother, you are still stupid. If you are miserable, who will be miserable? What? Fengxu, why are you scolding me? I knew you were making fun of me. Naruto was angry and aggrieved, and regardless of his body shaking up and down, he opened his teeth and claws wildly at the air. This scene was also seen by Kakashi. Are you communicating with that sub-personality called Uzumaki Fengxu? That should be coming out soon, right? Thinking like this, Kakashi speeded up the movements of his hands again. This time the bungee jumping duo became a bungee disco duo. Kakashi's mischief was also seen by Fengxu. The discomfort on Naruto's side also began to be transmitted to him. Immediately he stopped trying to be pretentious and asked directly. It's very simple. Look at the book Kakashi is holding in his hand. What is it called? Ugh. Naruto, who was shaken to the point of nausea and retching, quickly looked down at the book in Kakashi's hand. Ming a Nian, young man a Ming. Only then did Naruto realize that the book he had never noticed was actually a novel written by Fengxu. You want me to use the subsequent plot to exchange bells with Mr. Kakashi. Fengxu, forget it, I told you to listen. Fengxu was speechless and immediately gave up the idea of guiding Naruto to think. I will tell you the plot at the end of the novel later, and you can use this plot to attract Kakashi's attention. While he was distracted, you once again used multiple shadow clone and others to besiege Kakashi, and shouted for revenge. Attention, this time you made a shadow clone look like a shuriken, mixed in with the attack, and used it to hold the bell close to the waist. While his attention is on the plot and dodging, let the shuriken clone come back and grab the bell. Do you understand it? Because the 9 tails chakra was severed, Naruto's 3-body technique returned to normal levels. So there is no problem in using the clone to transform into a shuriken. I see. After hearing Fengxu's method, Naruto's face was filled with admiration. He originally thought that Fengxu was a violent maniac who only resorted to violence. I didn't expect that I would be so smart and think of such an old-fashioned method. He yelled for revenge and attacked, but in fact it was just for the bell. If it weren't for Naruto's poor cultural level, he would definitely have to praise him for his ability to make false claims and hide things from others. Outside, Teacher Kakashi, if you dare, shake me to death today, or we will beat your ass to pieces when I get out of trouble. While shouting at the top of his lungs, Naruto winked crazily at Sakura who was approaching. He spoke in a loud voice, as did Sasuke, who was equally dazed beside him. Sakura breaks the rope later, and we'll have another fight together. This revenge must be avenged. Even if we can't beat Mr. Kakashi, we must beat him. Idiot, you are too loud. The dizzy Sasuke suddenly felt tired. With 250 teammates like him, he didn't lose unfairly. You want to spank me? Then don't blame me, teacher. I don't follow martial ethics. I used Arcana's secret technique to kill you for thousands of years. Kakashi had a smile on his face, but he already had a plan in his heart to make Naruto and Sasuke's chrysanthemums bloom. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Not far away, Sakura, who found the right moment, shot a shuriken at the rope. Kakashi saw this and didn't stop him. The rope that tied Mingzou and the two of them broke, and they escaped and fell back to the ground. Sasuke Sakura, do it quickly. As soon as he landed, Naruto quickly formed a shadow clone. After yelling to take action, he shouted at Kakashi in the loudest voice. Chapter 31, Mom's Friend. 31 chapters. Kakashi was a little confused and didn't understand what Naruto was talking about. But when Kakashi heard the name Ming appear later, and the coherent plot, the expression on his face finally became unbearable, and his eyes widened, as if he had seen a ghost. How is it possible? How do you know the plot behind it? No, the author's name is Fengxu, Whirlpool Fengxu. The author is your subpersonality? This novel was written by you. Don't be stunned, take action quickly and support us with hidden weapons. Seeing Sakura and Sasuke standing there in a daze listening to the plot, their faces turned red. Naruto's shadow clone roared and quickly rushed towards Kakashi. The two people who were yelled at also woke up from a dream and turned to look at Naruto with a complicated look. They knew that Kakashi was stunned now and that this was a rare opportunity. So he restrained himself and did not ask any unnecessary questions at this time. Quickly follow Naruto's instructions, take out a hidden weapon and throw it in Kakashi's direction. While Naruto was repeating Fengxu's words, he had a shuriken in his hand that was the same as an ordinary hidden weapon. Then he took out some shurikens from the ninja bag, and then threw them all at Kakashi in front. The plot is very coherent. It turns out that Ming is even my mother's friend. Kakashi was fascinated by it, as if he was bathed in the Bible. Just like kissing heaven, he also read the book Young Ming several times. Now that I suddenly heard the follow-up plot that I had been thinking about, Kakashi was indeed attracted most of his attention. But when Naruto's shadow clone and many hidden weapons attacked, Kakashi was still able to dodge all the attacks with ease. You did a great job, but it's a pity that in this last-ditch effort to beat me up, you will still. Bells. Kakashi's smiling face suddenly changed, and his hand moved towards the bell on his waist. Too bad the bell has disappeared. The tinkling sound of bells, accompanied by Naruto's proud laughter, sounded behind him. Hehe, Mr. Kakashi, I grabbed the bell, you lose. Chapter 27. It turns out that it has been seen through a long time ago. While Naruto said proudly, you lost, Fengxu also received a message from the system. Host personality trust dependence value, 35%. Blackening value plus 200. Current blackening value, 5000. Naruto turned into a shuriken and got the bell. In the distance, Sasuke and Sakura opened their mouths when they saw the whole process. Originally they thought they couldn't get the bell, and they just wanted to vent their anger for the last time. Unexpectedly, in a twist of events, Naruto deceived everyone and got the bell. But this is totally unlike Naruto's style, isn't it? Not only Sakura and Sasuke think so, but also the dark-faced Kakashi. He walked towards Naruto, clapping his hands. It used the content of the novel to attract my attention so that I couldn't think carefully. Then it used words to express that it wanted to beat me for revenge to guide my thinking. Finally, it used Shadow Clone to turn it into a hidden weapon and sneak into the attack to steal the bell. One link after another, it's really a meticulous and wonderful plan. You are worthy of being able to write such a masterpiece, Uzumaki Fengxu, you are truly a terrifying being. Kakashi looked at Naruto's face, but the words in his mouth had nothing to do with Naruto. Whirlpool Fengxu. It turns out that this plan was thought up by Naruto's subpersonality. That makes sense. Sakura suddenly understood, while Sasuke breathed a sigh of relief. This plan would be fine as long as it wasn't Naruto's idea. As for the subpersonality Fengxu, he is a pervert who can kill elite jonin. The gap is too big to compare. Comparing with him will only increase the pressure. Ah, I was discovered by you, teacher. Being pointed out by Kakashi, Naruto's smile showed a guilty conscience. But Uzumaki Fengxu also represents me. Teacher, you won't cheat and refuse to admit defeat, right? Kakashi withdrew his gaze and said disdainfully. If I lose, I lose. I won't end up reneging on my debts with you, Genin. But Kakashi changed the topic and said with a malicious smile. You only have 2 bells. Have you decided who to eliminate and then be tied to a pillar to watch me eat lunch? Ah, Sakura was confused by Kakashi's words. Isn't this intimidation designed to undermine our teamwork? We all successfully got the bell and completed the task, why are we still tied up and eliminated? Sakura's words made Kakashi understand why the 3 of them chose to join forces in the first place. It seems that you have understood the purpose of this assessment from the beginning. It should be Sunmyo Fengxu who told you, right? Kakashi suddenly felt a little tired. He was engaged in education here, but Fengxu over there was trying to undermine him. It was really not cute. I really don't know why Naruto, who shares the same body, can be so stupid and weak. No, it's possible that it was Naruto's stupidity and weakness that gave rise to such a powerful personality for self-protection? Kakashi felt that his guess was reasonable, but on the surface he said it calmly. Who told me I was threatening you? The rules were very clear from the beginning. There are only 2 bells, and 1 person must be eliminated. Seeing that the joy of the 3 people faded away, they bowed their heads and remained silent. Kakashi did not deliberately embarrass her, and pointed directly at Sakura. Since you don't choose, then I will choose. Harano Sakura, in terms of performance, you were the worst just now, so I'm sorry, you were eliminated. After saying that, he waved to Naruto and Sasuke who was standing aside. You two, go tie Harano Sakura to the pillar and start eating lunch. Upon hearing this result, Sakura slumped to the ground. Naruto and Sasuke, on the other hand, didn't move. Among them, Naruto began to call Fengxu crazily in his heart. If you know Fengxu of the original plot, you will naturally understand what Kakashi means. So he said directly, Naruto, reject him. What should I do if I refuse? Nothing can be done. You have to understand that the three of you are a team. If anyone is missing just now, the mission will fail. Naruto seemed to understand something, and then raised his head with firm eyes. Kakashi-sensei, I refuse to carry out your order because I think it is unreasonable. Oh. Kakashi became interested and turned to look at Naruto. You mean you want to replace Haruno Sakura and be eliminated? If you insist on eliminating me, just eliminate me. We were able to capture the bell just now, but we couldn't do it without either Sasuke or Sakura. We are an indispensable whole. We are partners who can complete tasks together. We are Team 7. Naruto seemed to have opened up the two channels of Ren and Du, and his words were loud and clear. Sakura, who was in despair, was filled with emotion. Naruto. Sasuke on the side also raised his head again and said seriously. 3 people have completed the task, but 1 person has to be eliminated. I don't agree with this unreasonable assessment. So I agree with Naruto. If the teacher insists on eliminating 1 person, then I will choose to quit class 7. This place is not suitable for me to grow. The words of the two made Kakashi's eyes narrow, and he looked at Sakura with an unfriendly expression. The two of them chose to be eliminated. What about you? Do you want to be the only qualified person? Just as Sakura was about to speak, Kakashi said sadly again. Think carefully before answering. Even if you repeat the exam for a year, you will still see me next year and you will still be unable to pass. Sakura glanced hesitantly at Naruto and Sasuke, who had firm expressions, and finally gritted her teeth and said, I give up too. Naruto and Sasuke are right. We are 3 people completing the mission. We are partners and a whole. Very good. Since you all think so, then. As he spoke, Kakashi's serious expression slowly softened, and his voice also changed from fierce to gentle. Congratulations, all of you have passed the exam. Hearing Kakashi's words, the 3 of them were stunned, and then they exclaimed in disbelief. Ah! Kakashi-sensei, are you wrong? Wasn't he eliminated? Why did he suddenly pass? Looking at the happy 3 people, Kakashi smiled slightly and looked into the distance. The mission is very important to ninjas and must be completed. Those who cannot complete it are called waste. But those who do not cherish their companions in order to complete their mission are scum that is worse than trash. So I had to eliminate these people and have this assessment. Kakashi's words brought tears to Naruto's eyes. Is this a ninja? It's so cool. Sasuke was also smiling, while Sakura was jumping up and down excitedly. Today's mission has been successfully completed. Everyone is dismissed on the spot. Starting tomorrow, Team 7 will begin to perform real tasks. Great. Kakashi's words made the 3 of them feel happy again. After that they said goodbye and went home. Except for Kakashi who has been following Naruto, holding a book and reading. Chapter 28 Kakashi, I am urging updates online. Kakashi-sensei, why have you been following me? Naruto, who couldn't bear it anymore, finally turned around and asked at the door of his house. Kakashi didn't regard himself as an outsider at all. He casually raised his head and glanced at the surrounding environment and said, Oh, it's already at the doorstep. Don't be stunned, hurry up to the gate of opening. Naruto, this is my home, right? Naruto turned his head with a dark face. Kakashi nodded and closed the book in his hand. I know, Mr. Hokage and I were here yesterday afternoon. What? Don't be nervous, just come and take a look, because you and I still have a lot of history. Looking at Naruto's face, Kakashi felt a little sad. How come he looks nothing like Minato-sensei except for his hair? But it's okay if it doesn't look like it, just keep seeing it and it will bring back sad memories. Thinking of this, Kakashi didn't want to be too pretentious and said directly, I remember seeing a pile of manuscripts on your desk yesterday. You asked me to finish reading them and then leave. But don't worry, when your book is published again, I will buy a few more copies to make up for it. I knew it. Naruto had actually guessed what Kakashi was thinking, but he didn't mind showing it to Kakashi in advance. After all, he had become his teacher. But the origin Kakashi just mentioned made him a little curious. Fengxu hasn't finished writing the manuscript yet. If you want to read it, come in. Naruto opened the gate of opening and invited Kakashi in, and then asked, By the way, teacher, what is the origin you just mentioned? It's nothing, you will know later. Kakashi didn't intend to say it out loud and then claim this little junior brother. To be honest, Kakashi has always been a little resentful towards Naruto's father and teacher, Minato Namikaze. As the fastest man in the ninja world, he was one step behind when his apprentice had accidents twice, resulting in tragedy happening one after another. Moreover, there was also the matter of his father, and Minato did nothing, not saying a few words of help. But in the final analysis, these resentments are not Minato's fault, and Kakashi understands that. It can only be said that the situation forced us to take the overall situation into consideration. But it also caused Kakashi to have a knot in his heart. Of course, what Kakashi resents the most is himself who is weak and unable to change everything. However, the combination of all this successfully led to Kakashi being indifferent to Naruto and not taking special care of him. Again, if you say it later, you are clearly treating me like a child. Naruto pouted and handed the manuscript on the table to Kakashi. Here, I've just written 10 chapters of the plot for you. Just as Kakashi was about to take it and hold it for a look, he found that Naruto did not let go, but looked at him with bright eyes. If you have anything to say, just tell me. If it's too much trouble, I'd rather wait until the book is published to read it. Kakashi is a little helpless, he just wants to follow a novel, why is it so troublesome? Naruto chuckled, letting go of his hand and scratching his head in embarrassment. Teacher Kakashi, can you teach me how to practice and how to master the Nine Tails chakra? I don't want Fengxu to always come out to help me fight and protect me. I also want to become stronger myself, and then become Hokage so that everyone can recognize me. Looking at Naruto's expectant face, Kakashi was stunned. But he immediately understood what Naruto was thinking and said with a frown. After tomorrow, I will start teaching you how to practice and teach you how to better control the chakra in your body. But the chakra of Nine Tails is very special. I can't do anything about it, but you can try to ask the vortex Fengxu in your body. After you pass the first stage of chakra control practice, your chakra attributes will be checked later to start the second stage of practice. So don't worry too much. You will become stronger sooner or later step by step, and everyone will recognize you. Oh, Naruto was a little disappointed. Taking it one step at a time was too slow. He mainly wanted to master the Nine Tails chakra and become stronger quickly. It's a pity that Fengxu didn't tell him, and Kakashi was helpless. Ignoring the disappointed Naruto, Kakashi quickly looked at the manuscript in his hand. The plot is very nice. He has already seen it and feels it, and he is even more convinced. In this cold and numb ninja world, only these virtual erotic stories can make him feel a little bit warm. Hokage office. Naruto wants you to teach him how to practice and master the Nine Tails chakra. After listening to Kakashi's report, Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't help but frown. Yes, Naruto said he didn't want Uzumaki Fengxu to come out to fight. Kakashi nodded and expressed his guess, maybe he felt that the method was too violent and cruel, so he resisted. Naruto's two personalities are like two extremes. A pure and kind person who doesn't hold grudges, but has average talent. A violent and perverse Zhang Yaizhan must be punished, but he is extremely talented. Fortunately, the kind-hearted Naruto was the leader. If Fengxu had been the leader, Konoha would have been in chaos long ago when Naruto was a child. Sarutobi Hiruzen was non-committal about Kakashi's speculation. This is very similar to Naruto's style, but Naruto really needs to improve his strength. It is always not good if the strength gap between the two personalities is too large, and if the fierce Fengxu is often allowed to come out and fight with his body, it may also cause hidden dangers. To be honest, Sarutobi Hiruzen was a little worried about Fengxu's personality compared to Naruto, who was easy to control. Now Naruto can overcome one, but that may not be possible in the future. After thinking for a moment, Sarutobi Hiruzen continued. You should pay more attention to Naruto's training. After all, he is also a descendant of Minato. I will try my best to meet your training needs. By the way, if the next mission is to be careful of the root ninjas outside the village, even though Danzo is pushed back by me, he still has no intention of giving up. Anyway, I will give you a secret code that only you know. Hearing Danzo's name, Kakashi's eyes flashed with danger. Because of Yamato's incident, Danzo hated him very much and even had him assassinated for a while. But it's a pity that all those people were killed by him, leaving no one alive. This is why Kakashi didn't give any face to Yamanaka and the others when he saw them. I see. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded with satisfaction, but he did not forget Sasuke and Sakura. Herding a sheep is herding, and herding a group of sheep is herding. Since we want to teach the other two not to pull them down, we need to cultivate the bond between them. The bond is the stumbling block for the village to hold Naruto back, and Sarutobi Hiruzen is also planning to arrange it now. Waiting for Kakashi to leave, Sarutobi Hiruzen gave instructions to Umbu, who was waiting in the dark. Send someone to explore Jiraiya's whereabouts and tell him the news that Naruto needs to be taught. Naruto's personality is very similar to Jiraiya's, so Sarutobi Hiruzen is not worried about Jiraiya's teaching. Moreover, the two of them have the status of disciples. Yes. The mask flashed away in the darkness. Chapter 29 Consumption, and then the strength surges? Over the next month, Kakashi arranged high-intensity training for Naruto and the three of them according to Sarutobi Hiruzen's request. Master chakras, tree climbing and water treading practices. Physical training to enhance body strength. Skill training in throwing concealed weapons. And the actual combat training of fighting against each other. In short, I do tasks in the morning and practice in the afternoon and evening. It was so fulfilling that Naruto and the three of them almost died from exhaustion. However, the effect is also very significant. In addition to being a Sakura who doesn't know how to use ninjutsu, Sasuke, who has mastered C-level ninjutsu, and Naruto, who has mastered A-level ninjutsu, are already as powerful as Chunin. Of course, Naruto was able to master his chakra so quickly, thanks to the dead Abarame. If he hadn't used the 5 elements seal, he could have solved the huge amount of chakra that was difficult to control by accident. Naruto was probably still in the tree climbing stage. The improvement of chakra mastery also represents the improvement of strength. Even if Naruto doesn't have the 9 tails chakra now, he can still rely on the physique of the Uzumaki clan to create nearly 100 shadow clones. In addition to practicing, a lot of things happened during this more than a month. Among them, the novel Young Aming became a hit after its release. The single volume of the first volume sold more than 100,000 copies in 1 month, breaking the record of Making Love with Heaven. Then there is the relationship between Naruto and Iruka, which was restored to its original state under Fengxu's intentional guidance. After Naruto's explanation, Iruka understood that it was not Naruto who was cruel. It's a secondary personality created by Naruto's painful past experiences. So Iruka felt more sympathy and pity for Naruto. He even spent money to buy Naruto ramen for a month, and often helped him clean the house, like an old father. After that, Sarutobi Hiruzen also paid attention to Iruka again. While he was promoted, he was also given a new task. Let him try to change Fengxu with ideas such as the will of fire. The result was definitely a failure. When Fengxu saw Iruka, he immediately disappeared and mentally advanced the plan again. And executing the plan also requires some available manpower. Regarding these manpower, Fengxu has initially targeted 2 targets. That is Haku and Zabuza in the follow-up plot of Wave Country. Konoha Mission Hall. Oh, my little cutie, you are really worried about me. The wife of the daimyo of the Land of Fire was hugging a cat with teeth and claws, and was rubbing her head crazily. Even from a distance, Naruto and the 3 of them could feel the cat's pain and rejection. In front of the mission table, Sarutobi Hiruzen held a pipe in his mouth, took out a mission completion note and said, Class 7, successfully completed the D-level mission to find the lost tiger. Well, the next task is, to help take care of the children, or to go shopping in the neighboring village, or to help harvest sweet potatoes. Before Sarutobi Hiruzen could finish reciting, Naruto was the first to be unable to bear it any longer. He folded his hands in front of him as a sign of rejection and shouted, Duh, don't give us missions like this again. After practicing for more than a month, Master Kakashi said that we are all at Chunin level. Sasuke and Sakura, who were behind Naruto, nodded in agreement. After hard training, you naturally need a major task to test your own level. Seeing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Kakashi. What do you think? Kakashi touched his chin and said, they have done enough D-level missions, and they are practicing well. So it's time to try to get a higher level mission. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded with satisfaction. In that case, let me assign you the task of a C-level protector. As he said that, he waved in the direction of the lounge nearby. Come out, your mission has been taken over. The door to the lounge was pushed open, and an old man holding a bottle of wine pushed out the door. Finally someone picked up, what? Why are they all brats? Especially the shortest yellow Japanese melon in the middle. He looks stupid. Is he really a useful ninja? The old man with strong aggression in his words was Tatsuna, the bridge builder of the Land of Waves. It is also the beginning of the plot of the original Wave Country. In consciousness. Finally, the plot of the Land of Waves is about to begin. He looked at Tatsuna who was holding a wine bottle and concealing the real information. Fengxu waved his hand and opened his system panel. Host, Fengxu. Blackening value, 15,000. Host personality trust/dependence value, 40%. Master ninjutsu, seduction technique, 3 body technique, shadow level taijutsu, 1 tail chakra mode, multiple shadow clone techniques. After more than a month, the trust and dependence value has slowly increased back to 40%. The blackening value was originally supposed to be over 18,000. Basically, it was all earned by Naruto walking around Konoha and getting scolded for more than a month. You might get a lot at first, but later you might get scolded too much. So much so that Naruto was completely immune to being scolded, and that vicious curse could no longer arouse his emotions. This is also the reason why Naruto didn't jump back and scold Naruto when Tajuna scolded him outside. The less than 3,000 blackening points were all exchanged by Fengxu for the physical skills of ninjas. But most of them are Chunin on duty in the village, and there are only 3 Jonin, Kakashi, Asuma, and Ui Kurane. The continuous accumulation has also allowed the original elite Jonin Taijutsu to be successfully upgraded to shadow level Taijutsu. Although he has shadow level physical skills, if he doesn't turn on the 1 tail chakra mode, Fengxu's strength is about the same as that of an ordinary elite Jonin. After all, he hadn't met Metkai and didn't know the moves of a physical ninja, otherwise his strength would have improved a lot. Moreover, Fengxu has been jealous of Metkai's 8 Gates Dunjia for a long time. To put it bluntly, with 8 Gates Dunjia, Fengxu's shadow level physical skills are enough to exert super shadow level strength. And the 1 tail chakra mode he redeemed was the 9 tails chakra with Yang attributes. The damage caused to the body by 8 Gates Dunjia can basically be treated and repaired by this Yang chakra. Suppressing what he was thinking, Fengxu looked at the blackening value again. Now that the plot has begun, let's redeem the blackening value. After saying that, Fengxu reached out and pointed at the ninjutsu stored in the system. Exchange 3 tails chakra mode, Yang attribute, -12,000. Exchange the Flying Thunder God technique 3000. Current blackening value, 0. Because I have redeemed 1 tail chakra mode before, the 14,000 required for 3 tails chakra mode minus 2,000 is 12,000. As for the exchange for the Flying Thunder God, it was because Fengxu was ready to close his men and start implementing the plan. Therefore, he needs the long-distance movement of Flying Thunder God to increase his mobility. Outside, members of Team 7 who successfully received the mission. Having already put on my backpack, I met Dasna at the gate. Set off with the sound of Kakashi. Naru Sasakura, who had never stepped out of the village gate, embarked on the road to the country of waves. Chapter 30 Attacked, the root of another attack. There are 5 big countries in the entire ninja world and countless small countries. Most of them have their own large or small ninja villages. walking on uneven forest paths. Kakashi spread the common sense of various countries in the ninja world to Naru Sasakura and the others. This is knowledge that is not taught in ninja school textbooks, and can only be taught by the teacher who leads the team during the mission. Just as everyone was talking and approaching a small puddle in front of them, except for Naruto who was still excited, and Tatsuna who was worried. Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sakura all glanced at the puddle without trace. Sakura was about to catch Naruto who was unaware and say something, but Sasuke stopped her with his eyes, and motioned for her to get close to Dasuna for protection. Sasuke, on the other hand, quietly touched the kunao in the ninja bag on his waist. As for Kakashi, he looked up at the woods beside him again, and slowly closed the book in his hand. As everyone passed by the puddle, two heads wearing scuba masks poked their heads out of the puddle. It's just that they haven't waited for their next move. Sasuke, who was walking in front of him, suddenly stopped and turned around. At the same time, he was holding the completed nin seal in his hand, and his cheeks were bulging high. Fire style, great fireball technique. A huge fireball flew out with a bang and headed straight for the two ninjas in the water. Discovered. Get out of the way. Two exclamations came out, and the two ninjas in the puddle jumped out quickly. Unfortunately, the sudden fire style was too fast, and the legs of the two people who jumped out were burned by the flames. Before they could cry out in pain, a strong wind roared from behind the flames that disappeared in front. After the huge fireball dispersed, there was a whip leg that magnified infinitely in front of his eyes. The next second, the two of them were kicked in the head and fell to the ground with stars in their eyes. Vulnerable. Sasuke stood proudly, his face full of disdain. The sun was shining brightly in the sky, and there was no trace of rain on the road, but a handful of puddles suddenly appeared. Kakashi had used this little trick on them too many times during the actual training in the previous month. I can only deceive Naruto, that idiot who gets stupid whenever he's happy. It's an enemy attack. Naruto, who was belatedly aware of this, turned around and reacted. Seeing the puddle on the ground that he ignored, he immediately understood what was going on. Instantly his happy smile fell, and he ran towards Sasuke angrily. These little devils are really unexpectedly reliable. Seeing the two enemies lying unconscious on the ground, Dasuna on the side also let out a long sigh of relief, and his heart dropped. Kakashi at the front frowned slightly, then quickly returned to his original expression. After turning his head and glancing at Tatsuna and Sakura who were right next to him, Kakashi raised his feet and walked in the direction of Sasuke. Suddenly, Fengxu's voice came out in Naruto's mind. Naruto, prepare multiple shadow clone ninja seals. Sakura and Tatsuna are in danger. Hearing this, Naruto's running steps stopped. What? Sakura is in danger. Sensing the malice in the woods behind Sakura and Dasuna, Fengxu sighed and said unhappily, "You idiot, keep your expression natural and don't show any flaws. There's someone in the woods behind Sakura and Tatsuna. They've been following them since they left the village. Now that they are approaching, they probably want to take action. Don't alert them and make them retreat again." With a deep malice towards everyone in Team 7, Fengxu knew without even thinking that he was Danzo's route. After being scolded by Fengxu, Naruto reacted immediately and continued to walk towards Sasuke. But I kept asking in my heart, what should we do now? They won't hurt Sakura and Uncle Tatsuna, right? Now you still remember that there is Dasuna. Fengxu was a little helpless to complain, so he comforted, there are 6 enemies, and they are not strong, about the level of Chunin. I think Kakashi must have noticed it. If you are worried, you can ask me to come out. If Sakura hadn't been useful in the future, Fengxu wouldn't have bothered with it at all. No, Chunin, I can handle it by myself. Naruto, who was still hesitant about whether to let Fengxu come out, was immediately relieved when he heard that there were only a few Chunin. It's not him who blows, Chunin like Mizuki, he can hit 10 now. As for why there are 10, of course it's because he can make 100 shadow clones, and if you fight one of 10, you'll definitely win? I hope so. Fengxu shook his head and said nothing more. Chunin like Mizuki, who is engaged in education, is the best among the 6 Chunin on the tree, and can fight 20. Just when Kakashi and Naruto were far away from Sakura and Tajuna, the 6 masked ninjas finally stopped hiding. They turned into 6 paths after images and all jumped out of the woods behind. He grabbed Sakura who was still standing in front of the woods. Are you finally willing to come out? Kakashi, who was originally walking towards Sasuke, turned around instantly and threw the shuriken he had prepared. Sakura, I'm here to save you. Naruto, who was already prepared, turned around and used multiple shadow clone techniques. In an instant, nearly 100 shadow clone appeared, and even squeezed in front of Sakura and Tajuna under Naruto's control. Sasuke, who was farthest away, was the slowest to react. After being stunned for a moment, he quickly rushed over. Damn it, I've been discovered. No need to arrest them alive, just kill them on the spot. The 6 root ninjas didn't expect to be discovered as soon as they showed up. He immediately grabbed Sakura's hand and was forced to withdraw it to block Kakashi's shuriken. Then 5 people rushed towards Kakashi and Naruto to delay, and the remaining 1 rushed towards Sakura and Tajuna. Their original mission was to capture Naruto's favorite Sakura as bait and make Naruto obedient to their roots. Now that the original mission has no choice, it can only be changed to obliterating Sakura and trying to make Naruto go berserk and cause Nine Tails to lose control of its power. As long as the power of Nine Tails is out of control, Danzo will have another chance to behave openly and openly. He can even defeat Hiruzen Sarutobi? It's a pity that he was forced back to his hometown and couldn't stay at the root of Konoha's activities, so he made a mistake in intelligence. I have no idea about the changes in the strength of Class 7 over the past month or so. I thought Sakura was just a genin who could kill with just 1 or 2 moves. The root ninja who rushed towards Sakura first threw a shuriken to block Sakura's trajectory. Then he swung his kunao at an extremely fast speed and prepared to seal his throat with a knife. Sakura, who had already fought with Kakashi many times, reacted instantly. While bending backward to avoid the blow, he raised his foot and kicked the opponent's chin to counterattack. And he didn't forget to push the frightened Tatsuna behind him with his hand. Uncle Dazna, run. Dazna also reacted immediately, realized that he was a laggard, and quickly turned around and ran away. It is estimated that the wrong attack failed, and the same is true for the 5 root ninjas who delayed the time. As soon as they rushed over, they were tightly entangled by numerous shadow clones and had no time to stop Kakashi. Seeing that there is nothing you can do, the mission is about to fail. The root ninja on Sakura's side showed a look of determination. Then he took out a stack of nearly 10 detonating talismans from his body, activated them, and pounced directly on Sakura regardless of the attack. For my lord, let's die together. Sakura. Naruto's eyes instantly became bloodshot when he saw this scene. His group of shadow clone also immediately gave up the 5 of them and rushed over there. At the same time, Fengxu in his consciousness also received a system message. The host's personality emotion has reached a critical value, and the host can be replaced at any time. Kakashi, who was closest on the other side, also had a cold look on his face. No longer intending to row the water and use these ninjas to test the strength of the 3 of them, while pulling down the mask to reveal Sharingan, he quickly formed the ninja seal of Reikari in his hand. He wanted to use Reikari's speed to block him, but after all, there was still not enough time. The root ninja wanted to die together, not to survive. Therefore, the detonating talisman in hand activates extremely quickly. In just the blink of an eye, a huge explosion resounded through the sky. Boom! The explosion power was equivalent to 10 grenades, instantly blasting a big crater in front. The rising soil and smoke obscured the surrounding vision. The smoke and dust soon fell to the ground and dispersed. The scene that appeared in front of them made both Kakashi and Sasuke's eyes widen. I saw Sakura, who was supposed to die with the root ninja. Naruto, who was glowing with light golden chakra, was holding it in his hand. Naruto. No, you are Uzumaki Fengxu. Chapter 31 Fengxu takes action and is brutally wiped out. Because Naruto was enveloped in a layer of pale golden chakra. Moreover, Sakura was also held up by her collar, not held in her arms. So Kakashi and Sasuke quickly understood who the person in front of them was. The worry and self-blame on his face disappeared, and he let out a long breath. Fengxu, whose name was called out by Kakashi, shook the intact Sakura in his hand non-committally. Then he threw it casually on the ground. Fengxu, thank you for saving me. Although it was thrown away like garbage, it was thrown on the ground without mercy. But Sakura didn't dare to complain. She immediately got up and bowed to thank her. When she was hugged and couldn't break free, she thought she was doomed and had closed her eyes in despair. Unexpectedly, at the critical moment, Fengxu actually came out and kicked away the enemy who caught her. Moreover, he has such a handsome golden chakra, and his hairstyle and temperament are much cooler than the original Naruto. It's like a Naruto version of Sasuke, no, even cooler than Sasuke. It's a pity that she was held in the hand. If she was held by the princess. Thinking of this, Sakura's face instantly turned red with embarrassment, and she didn't dare to raise her bowed body. To be honest, she felt like she had fallen in love with Naruto, a powerful and secure sub-personality. Sasuke, who ran closely behind Kakashi, looked at the pale golden chakra on Fengxu's body with confusion. This pale golden chakra, could it be Nine Tails chakra? No, it doesn't have the evil and violent feeling before. Instead, it has a gentle feeling. Sasuke sensed it well, and Fengxu gave him an appreciative look. As expected of Orochimaru, he has excellent ninja qualities and talents. It's a pity that my heart is not firm. I always change my inner thoughts, and my understanding of myself is not enough. As a result, in the original plot, he looked like a two-faced clown. Kakashi also looked at Fengxu with a complicated expression. Thank you. Fortunately, you showed up in time, otherwise I would have lost my lovely student because of my carelessness. Kakashi originally thought that Danzo's targets would only be himself and Naruto. We will not deal harshly with other unrelated personnel. But now it seems completely wrong. Danzo is just a mad dog who doesn't care about anything? No wonder Sarutobi Hiruzen reminded him to be careful of Danzo after leaving the village. As well as your strength and use of Nine Tails chakra, it only took just over a month. Your talent is too terrifying. Thinking of Fengxu's speed just after he came out, Kakashi couldn't help but be a little stunned. His Sharingan could barely keep up, it was even faster than when he used Reikari. If he were to fight Fengxu now, he would not be surprised that he would lose. Naruto, who was replaced by Fengxu in his consciousness, also followed Kakashi and Sasuke's words and noticed the pale golden Nine Tails chakra. Fengxu, why did your Nine Tails chakra become like this? It's completely different from before. Now he's powerful and handsome, and he doesn't have a bad aura. Can you teach me? If I can do this, Sakura will definitely give up Sasuke's crush on me. The series of questions inside and outside his head made Fengxu's head feel a little big, so he could only explain in a cold voice. Before, because it was against the enemy, I didn't bother to remove the aura attached to the Nine Tails chakra, that's all. Feng was so weak that he didn't tell lies to deal with it. Nine Tails chakra is red, but the pure chakra that dispels the Nine Tails aura turns golden. He doesn't understand the principle. Maybe it's because it makes him look more handsome, right? But he prefers the original Nine Tails chakra. The evil and unrestrained aura on it makes him feel very comfortable. Seeing how many people wanted to ask more questions, Fengxu pointed impatiently into the distance. Don't ask nonsense, I'm very angry right now. Fengxu was very annoyed when Danzo continued to cause trouble for this body. He plans to exchange for another wave of strength after the mission to the country of waves is over. Then, as Danzo wished, Naruto was allowed to play with Danzo's roots. On the opposite side, while everyone's attention was no longer on them, the root ninjas quietly retreated to the forest. Seeing Fengxu pointing at them, they stopped sneaking around and immediately dispersed. Knowing Fengxu's strength, they fled in 5 different directions, hoping to survive as many as they could. Seeing someone trying to run away, Kakashi calmly planned to chase him, but was stopped by Fengxu. My favorite thing is to play hide and seek. Don't disturb my mood, understand? The aura and murderous intent on Fengxu's face made Kakashi feel cold all over. He didn't say anything more and just stayed where he was. In his consciousness, Naruto seemed to feel Fengxu's thoughts and asked eagerly, Fengxu, are you going to use cruel methods to kill people again? You can't do this. They are just trying to complete their mission. Fengxu sneered and said nothing, but his body turned into a phantom and suddenly disappeared from the place. Naruto's mind was defenseless against him. If you really don't want those people to die, you can naturally take back control of your body. But now in Naruto's subconscious, he clearly wanted those people to die. He said these words clearly because he wanted to set up a memorial arch so that he could pass the blame for those people's deaths on him and reduce the burden on his heart. At the same time, Fengxu could also feel Naruto's subconscious control and suppression. He knew very well that when the person died, Naruto would immediately take his body back and at the same time severely criticize and suppress him. But so what? If Naruto was really nice to him, he would be really embarrassed to attack Naruto. Swish, 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 swish. In just 2 words from Naruto, all 5 people who escaped were kicked out of the woods. 4 of them had their limbs cut off by sharp blades, leaving only their torsos lying on the ground groaning in pain. Fengxu also fell from the woods in a leisurely manner. There were still traces of blood dripping from the tips of the 3 golden fox tails behind him. Monster, demonic fox, kill us if you dare. The only intact root ninja roared at Fengxu at the top of his lungs as if he saw a devil. It's really noisy. Fengxu pinched his knuckles with one hand with a cold face. The fox tail behind him was raised like a sword and aimed at the ninja. Finally, it stabbed out like lightning. The only ninja with intact roots had his arms on both sides instantly penetrated and torn apart. But the wound strangely did not bleed. To leave a personal report, it should only be enough to have legs. As he spoke, a trace of the pale golden chakra was separated, and then turned red like blood, giving people an ominous feeling. The red blood condensed into a thin line, quickly connecting the 4 torsos and the remaining legs of the ninja. After doing all this, Fengxu's fox tail rolled out again. In one fell swoop, the root ninja was swept away into the woods. The trunks connected in series on the ground were dragged in midair like kites. Get out. Remember to ask Danzo to wash his butt when you get back, so that your feet won't get dirty when I kick him. Chapter 32 Bitch Naruto. So fast, so strong, so cruel. And this time there are 3 tails. Kakashi and others who saw this scene took a breath of air. Compared to the one-tailed one before, Fengxu now has 3 tails, and his speed is simply inhuman. The strength is obviously a level higher than before. Also, these actions and tone of voice, how can they be reported to someone? This is clearly someone who was sent back to slap Danzo in the face. He killed people right away, and even sent the body back by mail with a message. This is really a mortal feud that will last forever. Kakashi could even think of Danzo's old face that was half dead with anger. It is estimated that he will no longer be the person Danzo hates most in the future, and will have to be replaced by Naruto. In consciousness. As soon as Fengxu's actions ended, Naruto's voice rang out. Fengxu, you broke your promise and killed someone cruelly again. But this time, for the sake of saving Sakura, I will temporarily forgive you. But you have to teach me how to master the power of 9 tails. You have mastered the 3 tails, you must know the way. Fengxu rolled his eyes speechlessly and directly returned the control of his body. The pale golden 9 tails chakra disappeared, and the cold eyes turned back to clear stupidity. Seeing that Fengxu ignored him, Naruto suddenly became anxious and continued to pray in the center of his heart. I don't ask much, just let me master a tail. Please Fengxu, I really want to become stronger, protect you, and protect everyone outside. After hearing Naruto's words, Fengxu finally became angry. Kaido, if you want to become stronger, practice hard. Besides, I've already explained to you that I don't know how to do it. It's a matter of talent. Because I endure the painful memories you force on me every day, I can easily master them. Do you understand? Having said this, Fengxu had a disdainful sneer on his face. You and I exchange identities for a month and become a secondary personality to bear those memories. I guarantee you will master it right away. How about it? Are you willing? Of course Naruto didn't want to. What if Fengxu doesn't agree to the exchange after the exchange and then exchanges it back, then he won't be numb anymore. He didn't want to bear those painful memories every day, it would be much more uncomfortable than simply being scolded. But Naruto still refused to give up and asked, is there no other way? Of course Fengxu had a way, but he was still thinking about whether to tell Naruto. Although Naruto's mastery of the Nine Tails chakra can also enhance his strength. But as Naruto becomes stronger, there are fewer opportunities for him to come out, and Naruto's dependence becomes weaker. After thinking about it, Fengxu decided to speak out and prepare to hang Naruto. Yes, I have been researching it since you said it before, and now I have some clues. But what you just said made me very uncomfortable, so I plan to suspend research now. Seeing that Fengxu really had a solution, Naruto immediately begged. I was wrong, it was all my fault just now, don't stop. I won't be angry if you want to kill your enemies in the future, but you can't be so cruel. It's best to let them die painlessly. Let's talk about it later. Fengxu snorted coldly and stopped talking. What's not to do with cruel torture? When he tortures his enemies, Naruto's blackening value will be heard? When he read the original work before, why didn't he notice that Naruto was so inconsistent and like a lotus bitch? Shaking his head, Fengxu ignored Naruto's plea and looked at the system panel. Current main personality trust dependence value, 51%, 30% will not drop, 21% will drop if overflow occurs. Current blackening value, 3000. After reaching 50% ability to actively switch personalities, there are actually more specific displays. Fengxu was a little surprised, but this surprise dissipated immediately. This more concrete display also means that he has greater control over his body. There is also the 30% that cannot be dropped, which means that even if he kills people close to Naruto, there will still be so many. Just like Naruto's feelings for Sasuke in the original plot. He will only think about saving and bringing her back, and will not treat her as an enemy or anything like that. Of course, his current 30% is probably not enough for Sasuke, and doubling it to 60% is still about the same. Looking at the last newly added blackening value, Fengxu sneered. After increasing the blackening value and dependence trust value by 3000, you really are a bit of a bitch, Naruto. After Naruto started communicating in his consciousness, the flow of time inside will automatically slow down. So the exchange just now seemed very long, but in fact only a few breaths passed outside. Seeing Naruto's main personality return, the cold and terrifying aura disappeared. The bowed Sakura finally raised her head, and the redness on her face disappeared. Kakashi and Sasuke breathed a sigh of relief. Compared to Fengxu, who puts a lot of pressure on them and is unfamiliar with them, Naruto, who is silly, communicates better. No one was hurt, right? Kakashi looked around at everyone and then said, although I was careless this time, you should now understand the horror of fighting between ninjas, right? As your leading teacher, I cannot protect you all the time, nor will I do so. So if you want to quit after this mission, you can apply to quit. It's not bad to just be an ordinary person. Boring. Sasuke turned around with a cold face. Before killing that person, it doesn't matter what danger there is. Naruto also ended his inner plea and waved his hands repeatedly to show that he was not afraid of danger. Only Sakura looked confused and said nothing. You can think about it carefully first, and then just come to me alone after the mission. Kakashi took a deep look at Sakura, and then walked towards the bound Kirigakure ninja in the distance. The other side. Dasna, who had run away, was now white-faced and shaking like chaff. The scene where Naruto went crazy just now was something he could never forget for a long time. Is this a ninja? He wiped the non-existent sweat from his forehead with trembling hands, and looked at Naruto with fear in his eyes. Even Kaido, who dominates their country of waves, would not resort to such cruel methods. Especially when he was in Konoha village, he even scolded Naruto for being a yellow Japanese melon. And the information he hid from these ninjas, and how no one cares about him now. Dasna felt that he was probably dead. Thinking of this, Daijun gritted his teeth and rushed in the direction of Naruto and others. After getting closer, he knelt down without hesitation. Ninja-sama, I'm sorry. I shouldn't speak out wildly, nor should I conceal information, but I have my own reasons. We in the country of waves are besieged by Kaido. Dasna told Kaido's evil deeds in an embellished way, and then made the situation miserable again. I hope that even if they can't let these ninjas continue their mission, they can still let him go because of his misery. After listening to Daijun's story, Kakashi went to interrogate the mist ninja again. However, one of the two mist ninjas took advantage of the attack just now and sneaked away, while the remaining one said nothing. Finally, Kakashi planned to take everyone back to the village immediately. After all, there are multiple Chunin involved, so this mission is at least B-level. But Naruto sympathized with Tajuna's tragic experience and hoped to continue completing the mission. Sasuke also agreed, not wanting to give up this opportunity to hone his skills. After all, it's relatively peaceful now, and high-level tasks don't happen every day. After a final calculation, everyone set off on the road to the country of waves. Chapter 33, chased to the base and gave Danzo a kick. The deepest part of the forest of death. The root base is sitting underground right here. In this quiet, huge, and empty underground base, the silence was broken by the sound of footsteps dragging something. Danzo, who was standing in the middle space, frowned and turned around when he heard the sound behind him. At a glance, he saw the roots of Chunin, whose arms had been cut off before, and the torso dragged behind him. Still alive. Danzo's voice was cold and emotionless. The mission failed, the target is still alive, the whirlpool Fengxu has appeared again, and has been able to master the three-tailed chakra. The root ninja with a broken arm lowered his head and reported the situation. Just the sweat dripping from his forehead showed that he was not at peace inside. I'm asking, why are you still alive? Danzo interrupted mid-report, his eyes full of coldness. Uzumaki Fengxu asked me to bring you a message. The voice of the amputated ninja was trembling. Although he went into the roots and suffered a lot of training and was not afraid of death, he really didn't want to die. Say. Danzo's words were still very brief. He said. He told you to wash your butt so that his feet would not be dirty when he kicked him. After saying this, the amputated ninja knew that he would not be able to survive. He stood up and turned towards the wall in front of him. For Danzo-sama, for the roots. The amputated ninja's loyal shouting and hitting the wall did not meet Danzo's stop as he expected. After a bang, blood splattered all over the wall. Seeing his loyal subordinate die in the line of duty, the expression on Danzo's face softened a lot. The ninja must sacrifice themselves and all die. How can you survive alone? Don't worry, good boy, I will avenge you. Waving his hand towards the darkness, Danzo turned around again and thought. But as soon as he turned around, he saw a thin blood-red line emerging from the corpse of the amputated ninja and the torso behind it. This blood-red line instantly floated in front of the corpse and turned into the Wind of Three Tails chakra mode. After glancing at the surrounding environment, Fengxu rushed directly towards Danzo, who had his back turned to him. It's Jinchuriki. Sir, watch your back. The root ninja, who had just jumped out of the darkness and was about to dispose of the body, immediately turned around and tried to block Danzo's front. But his speed is not as fast as the shadow-level physical skills, plus the wind speed of Three Tails chakra mode. In just the blink of an eye, Fengxu appeared behind Danzo. Danzo, who heard the shouting, turned around with a look of shock and anger, and happened to see a face in front of him. Naruto, no, it's Uzumaki Fengxu. That's right. Have you washed your butt? Danzo didn't answer anymore, but pulled away as quickly as possible. At the same time, he quickly drew out the ninja seal in his hand, intending to destroy this shadow clone. Although it is just a shadow clone formed by chakra, its speed is not much different from the original body. As soon as Danzo raised his foot, he felt a strong kick from his butt. Asshole. Danzo, who was staggered by the kick, cursed angrily and immediately turned his head and puffed up his cheeks. The next second, high-pressure wind bombs were spit out from his mouth, breaking through the air and hitting Fengxu in front of him. B-level ninjutsu, wind release vacuum sphere. Facing the attack, Fengxu had no intention of resisting or getting out of the way. Looking at Danzo, who was full of anger, a sarcastic smile appeared on his lips. Old dog, don't go out this week, lest others see your ant. After the words fell, the high-pressure wind bullet also penetrated the slightly illusory Fengxu body. Puff! There was a sound like a balloon popping, and Fengxu disappeared into a puff of smoke. Damn it, what on earth is this bastard doing? Seeing Fengxu decisively disappearing, Danzo's expression became gloomy to the extreme. Did the shadow clone come back from such a faraway place just to kick him? Before Danzo could figure it out, he heard the voice of his subordinate again. Sir, there is a bloody footprint behind your fart. Upon hearing this, Danzo immediately took off his outer robe. But when he looked, there were no bloody footprints on the robe at all. Sir, the footprints are still there, they were not taken off with your clothes. As if he felt that he couldn't explain clearly, the root ninja pinched out his ninja seal and formed a curtain of water in the air. Through the reflection of the water curtain, Danzo could clearly see the blood-red footprints on his butt. Without hesitation, he took off one piece of clothing again. As expected, the footprints were not taken off as said, but were displayed on the next layer of clothing. Whirlpool Fengxu. You're fine. Danzo, whose face turned black as coal, did not continue to take off his clothes. This is clearly the Nine Tails chakra attached to his body. No wonder the shadow clone has become illusory even before it comes into contact with high-pressure wind bombs. It can be said that it is not very harmful but extremely insulting. After instructing this subordinate to continue completing the mission, he quickly left the open space. The other side. Inside Kado's forest cabin. The Kirigakure ninja who had escaped before was now respectfully reporting the situation to Zabuza. Konoha Jonin, white hair, mask, only one eye exposed, and 3 Chunin imps. Based on the information he received, Zabuza frowned. If he guessed correctly, this white-haired man should be the legendary clone ninja, Heitake Kakashi. The enemy was a bit unexpected. Zabuza feels that for an enemy of this level, you need to pay more? Before he could go to find Kado, the door was pushed open with great force. Asshole, your man missed it. Led by 2 bodyguards, Kado pointed at Zabuza angrily. I paid a big price, please send more powerful ninjas there quickly. After hearing Kado's words, Zabuza instantly swung the decapitating sword he was holding tightly. A human head sprayed with blood flew high into the sky. You, what are you doing? Kado was immediately frightened by Zabuza's quick sword attack. We Kirigakure ninjas can only succeed in our mission or die. Even if it is because of wrong information, the person who fails will die. Zabuza retracted his beheading sword and looked sideways at Kado, who was stunned. I will not pursue the matter of incorrect intelligence, and I will personally take action in the future. But now, we have to talk about the price again. What? After hearing the price, Kaduo suddenly woke up and became furious. Angrily, he rushed to Zabuza, pointed at his nose and cursed. Asshole, I've given you enough money, what else do you want to talk about? Zabuza didn't say anything, and White, who was standing behind him, took action like lightning and held Kato's arm. Click. The sound of breaking bones was accompanied by Cardo's scream. I agree to add money, I agree. Chapter 34 Without me, you are nothing. Early the next morning, after more than a day of traveling, Team 7 and a group of people took Tatsuna and finally arrived at the country of waves. With the help of the heavy fog that appeared in the early morning and the help of the contact person, they did not encounter the enemy again and safely set foot on the territory of the Kingdom of Waves. Just a few steps away from the port, Kakashi sighed silently. Then he quietly walked between Tajuna and Naruto. It came so fast. I wonder if Sasuke and Sakura will be able to find it this time. As for Naruto, he was directly ignored by Kakashi. Anyway, he has a sub-personality to fight for him, so he doesn't need to worry about growing up. In the trees in front of everyone, Zabuza squinted his eyes and observed the people in the distance. As expected, it was Sharinon Kakashi, who is known as the Copying Ninja. Those two idiots were defeated unjustly. As the second batch of 7 ninja swordsmen to be killed out of the blood mist, Zabuza was not afraid. Instead, there is a sense of excitement as a hunter encounters his favorite prey. After being crushed by Kirigakuru's hunting troops for so long, he now needed to vent his anger and make a name for himself. After all, the pursuit team only has a large number of people, and there is no famous person in the ninja world to use him as a stepping stone. As long as he kills Kakashi, no fool like Cardo will question his ability. Behind Zabuza, Haku, who was wearing a Kirigakur mask, sensed Zabuza's killing intent and quickly approached and asked, Zabuza-sama, shall we take action now? There's no rush. Zabuza raised his hand to block Shiro's face. Kakashi is not an ordinary person. He might have discovered us. You are keeping calm now, probably because you want to train his 3 Chunin brats. Having said this, Zabuza smiled contemptuously. But it doesn't matter, he will pay the price for his arrogance soon. Looking at Kakashi and his group getting closer and closer, they are about to arrive in front of them. Zabuza spoke again, I'll go out and say hello to them first. Follow the previous fighting methods from now on, do you understand? Shiro nodded. Having followed Zabuza in the battle for so long, he naturally understood what it meant. Probably Zabuza went out to fight first, and then he pretended to be Kirigakuru's pursuit force and came out pretending to deal with Zabuza together. When he finally took action, he suddenly turned back and caught the enemy by surprise. The method seems simple, but because of the masks of the chasing troops, it has been tried and tested repeatedly. After all, everyone knew that the rebel ninja Zabuza was being hunted by Kirigakure. Call out? The sound of the blade cutting through the air came from among the trees. Seeing that no one responded, Kakashi also immediately pressed down Naruto and Tajuna beside him and yelled, everyone get down. Sasuke and Sakura, who were very wary, leaned down almost as soon as they heard the sound. Clang! The whirling beheading sword was embedded in the tree trunk in front of everyone's hair. Then the shadow flashed, and Zabuza stood on the handle of the sword. It's you? Kirigakure rebels against the ninja, Mamakai Zabuza, who is known as the demon. Kakashi frowned slightly. He didn't expect that this mission was not over after it was changed from C level to B level, and now it was upgraded to A level. I didn't expect that the famous Kakashi actually knows about me, so I'll give you some face. Leave that old man to me and I'll let you go. Before Kakashi could reply, Naruto roared angrily. Impossible. Even though you attacked us secretly, you actually dared to ask us to hand over poor Uncle Dazna, you bad guy. While blaming Zabuza with his mouth, Naruto was also complaining about Fengxu in his heart. Fengxu? It was so dangerous just now. Why didn't you warn me? If it hadn't been for Mr. Kakashi, my forehead would have been chopped off by that scary sword. Haha. Fengxu laughed disdainfully. I thought after what happened yesterday, you would be stubborn and not ask me for help for a few days. I didn't expect to stop caring so quickly. In this case, why don't you just give me your body and I will come out and help you kill him? The teasing and yin-yang aura in Fengxu's words made Naruto's face turn red. I've already apologized to you, what else do you want from me? It's obviously wrong to kill with cruel means, and I wasn't wrong. If you don't help, we won't help. Even our 7th team can deal with him. Seeing Naruto's tough-talking look, Fengxu's sarcastic voice sounded again. That's hard to say. Your opponent is no worse than Kakashi. Do you really want me to come out? Without me, you are useless now and can't protect anything. Or do you actually want to wait for others to get hurt, and then be forced to lose control of your emotions and let me out? In this case, I also understand your thinking. After all, if you are forced to let me out, it can be regarded as an excuse for yourself. Naruto's face turned red with these words. It also revealed his innermost thoughts and pain points that he didn't want to expose. He immediately retorted angrily towards Fengxu, I am your opposite. I have the same talent as you. I am no worse than you. Look, even without you this time, I will protect my companions and Uncle Dazna. Finally, I will surpass you, become stronger, become Hokage, and let everyone recognize me. The inner dialogue also made Naruto outside even more angry. The main personality is not as good as the sub-personality, which has always been a point that Naruto did not want to mention and selectively forgot. Naruto didn't know what was causing Fengxu to bring these topics to light. Aren't you afraid that you will never let him come out again? Host personality trust dependence value, 52%. I don't agree with my mouth, but my inner agreement is reflected on the panel. Humph, you noisy brat, you just dare to talk. Zabuza's face was full of disdain when he saw that Naruto had nothing more to say. The next second, the beheading sword on the tree and Zabuza disappeared instantly. When he reappeared, he came to Daijun, who was surrounded by everyone. The decapitating sword in his hand roared and struck hard. So fast. Faster than Kakashi-sensei in actual combat. The elite Jonin level teleportation technique caused Sakura to change her color. None of them could react. Clang! The three of them didn't react, but Kakashi was already on guard. He crossed the two kunai in front and firmly caught the blade less than 10 centimeters away from Dasna. Kakashi, you are indeed not an ordinary person. Ignoring Zabuza's compliments, Kakashi forced him back with one blow. Then the mask was pulled down, revealing the Scarlet 3 Megatama Sharingan. At the same time, he reached out and stopped Naruto Sasuke, who was about to step forward to join the fight. Now let's start the teamwork and division of labor. You should set up your formation to protect Mr. Daijuna. Leave this to me. Because Kakashi revealed Sharingan during the previous battle, Sasuke also explained it a little bit on the way. Therefore, the three of them were not surprised. Hearing about teamwork, Naruto and Sasuke retreated very wisely. Then he and Sakura used the swastika formation to protect Tezna away from the battlefield. I didn't expect to see the legendary Sharingan so soon, but it's not okay if the mission target is gone. Zabuza did not step forward to catch up with Tezna, who was far away, but formed a water body with a seal. He believed that Kakashi would not stop him. After all, his subordinates needed experience. Kakashi was just as Zabuza thought, ignoring the moisture and staring at him. When the water left, the two figures disappeared from the place almost at the same time. They turned into two invisible black shadows, fighting together. Chapter 35. Zabuza missed the move. The other side. Looking at Zabuza's clone strolling through the garden, Naru Sasakura and the three of them all clenched their kunai and looked wary. Zabuza didn't feel nervous at all. They are just three rookies who have just reached the Chunin level. One water avatar is enough to deal with them. Even if there is an accident, Bai will let the accident return to its original trajectory. As if sensing Zabuza's contempt, Naruto couldn't help but want to rush out and take the lead. Asshole, it's just a shadow clone, don't be arrogant. But as soon as he took a step, Sasuke grabbed him. Don't fight alone, he is dangerous. And the murderous intention in your body that wants to be solidified is almost as good as the Fengxu in your body. If I hadn't felt the killing intent and pressure brought by Fengxu several times, Sasuke estimated that he would be so frightened that his hands and feet would become stiff and he would make a fool of himself in public. I feel it too. Sakura, who had not spoken for a long time, also made a comment. Ever since I had some different emotions about Fengxu yesterday, she felt like she had betrayed Sasuke and couldn't look Naruto in the face. But now that the enemy was facing her, she couldn't help but look at Naruto. Why don't you talk to Fengxu and let him be ready to help us come out to find out? No. Naruto immediately rejected Sakura. But he immediately realized that his tone was not good and quickly explained. I don't want to rely too much on Fengxu, I want to defeat the enemy on my own. Sakura obviously didn't think this was an explanation, she just thought Naruto was being petty. Naruto, stop messing around at times like this. That is an enemy that is on par with Mr. Kakashi. Only Fengxu can tell the truth so that we can fight with confidence. Sakura's distrust and admiration for Fengxu made Naruto feel even more uncomfortable. Fengxu and I are one. If he can do it, I can do it too. I'm no worse than him. If it were before the 5 elements seal, Naruto would really be able to win without him coming out this time, relying on the Nine Tails chakra. It's a pity that all the chakra leaked by Nine Tails has been blocked now. Apart from him, Naruto has no other weapons to use. Haha, you are so smug and self-righteous. Seeing Naruto and the other three ignoring him and chatting away, Zabuza laughed a little angrily. Don't think that wearing a forehead protector counts as a ninja. Only those who survive a life and death crisis can be called ninjas. In other words, only those who are recorded in my book are considered ninjas. And you? As he spoke, the water body Zabuza disappeared from the place with a whoosh. Disappeared again. No, he's coming closer. As the three people screamed in surprise, Zabuza suddenly appeared in front of Naruto at the front of the formation. At the same time, a powerful whip leg carrying strong wind was thrown towards him. Not qualified at all. The sound and whip legs fell on Naruto at the same time. But the expected scene of being kicked away didn't happen. The legs of the water body were blocked by Naruto and Sasuke, who quickly stepped forward with their hands. Sakura from behind also reacted quickly. She pushed Tatsuna away, who was protecting him. Then, with the support of Naruto and Sasuke's back, he jumped up high. Then the shuriken in his hand shot out of the air and accurately hit the water body's head. I look down upon you little brats. Zabuza was slightly surprised, but only a little surprised. The kicked leg used force again, knocking Nezuo back in front. At the same time, he reached out and grasped the decapitating sword behind him, and swung it towards the sky. All the shurikens that were shot down. There are many things you underestimate. I advise you to open your registration book as soon as possible and write down the names of everyone in our 7th class. Although he was easily knocked back, there was no hint of discouragement on Naruto's face. Instead, there was a lot of self-confidence. While shouting, he whispered to the two people beside him. Do you still remember the cooperation when fighting for the bell? After I finish talking later, I will immediately use multiple shadow clone techniques to entangle him, and then Sasuke will be the same as I was then. Time was running out, and Naruto didn't finish his words. But after more than a month of teamwork and actual combat, Sasuke and Sakura understood it instantly. After seeing Naruto spewing wild words, he ignored him and discussed quietly with others. The veins on Zabuza's forehead were bulging one by one, and the playful look in his eyes was gone. You guys who play ninja games are really arrogant. Obviously I just passed such a benevolent graduation examination and became a ninja. It seemed that he recalled the situation at that time. Zabuza's face was full of aftertaste and morbid excitement. What do you mean? We only became ninjas after passing a cruel exam with a passing rate of only 30%. Zabuza's words instantly aroused Naruto's anger. Their graduation exam is also very difficult? 30% pass rate. Naruto's words made Zabuza cover his face and bend over with laughter. Kakik. In my graduation exam, I killed all 100 candidates to obtain the ninja qualification. What? Naruto and the three of them were all shocked, and that cruel picture appeared in their minds. Listening to the exclamation in front of him, Zabuza raised his head. The smile on the face under the palms and fingers was gone, only the murderous intent remained. The pass rate, oh no, the survival rate is less than 1%. The moment the word N hit the ground, Zabuza dived out at a speed that was difficult to catch with the naked eye, and Naruto had already prepared the ninja seal in his hand during the conversation. Multiple shadow clone techniques. Nearly 100 Naruto suddenly appeared and surrounded Zabuza, who was swooping in. Facing the numerical advantage, Zabuza did not give in at all. The beheading sword in his hand was swung into a large windmill in the air. Kakik. Quantity cannot make up for the gap in quality. The real ninjas killed are far beyond your imagination. In just an instant, most of the nearly 100 shadow clones were wiped out. At the same time that Zabuza's true form was exposed, Sakura held a huge four-cornered shuriken and threw it heavily at Zabuza. Wind Demon Shuriken, Shadow Windmill. The huge shuriken roared with an ear-piercing sound. Zabuza narrowed his eyes and accurately grasped the whizzing shuriken. No, there's a shuriken in the shadow. The shuriken was held, but another one immediately separated and cut towards Zabuza's body. Zabu didn't have time to defend himself against the decapitating sword in his other hand, so he could only jump up and dodge it. But before Zabuza could breathe a sigh of relief, Sasuke's cold voice came from behind. Fire style, great fireball technique. Damn it, it's a transformation technique. Zabuza turned around with a ferocious expression. The decapitating sword in his hand also swung out, attacking the huge fireball. But this is not the main body. Even if the power of fire style is just touched a little, the clone will collapse. I didn't expect that I would fall into the hands of these brats. Why doesn't Bai take action? Zabuza looked at the jungle in the distance out of the corner of his eye, feeling a little angry in his heart. However, the Kanban needle that shot out in Bai's voice made him relax his brows. Ninja pursuit troops, kill the traitorous ninja Mamakai Zabuza. Chapter 36 Bai's sneak attack. The rapid-fire Senbon needle is faster than Sasuke's great fireball. Almost at the same time as Shiro's voice appeared, Zabuza's water body was hit. Then it turned into a pool of clear water and suddenly fell to the ground. X3. Naturally, the three little ones of Kanbenzan heard the sound and saw it clearly. With shock and inquiry, they quickly gathered together. They all looked at Shiro wearing a Kirigakuer mask on the tree trunk in the distance. Do you know what kind of ninja hunting force this is? Naruto asked quietly to Sasuke and Sakura beside him. Sakura shook her head, but Sasuke looked solemn and a little wary. Kakashi-sensei told me that Kirigakuer is the department that specializes in hunting down traitorous ninjas and recovering their bodies. Because the ninjas themselves and their bodies will reveal a lot of information, they need to be hunted down and recovered. Compared to Sakura and Naruto, Kakashi paid the most attention to Sasuke, who was the most talented, and taught him more. These are the knowledge that Kakashi mentioned to Sasuke when he was giving individual guidance. Hearing Sasuke's explanation, Sakura breathed a sigh of relief. I just heard from Mr. Kakashi that the one named Zabuza is Kirigakuer's rebellious ninja. So he must be here to hunt down the rebel ninja, and he shouldn't be our enemy. Otherwise, one of us will definitely suffer from the hidden weapon that was difficult to guard against. In the situation just now, if they were attacked by Senbon needles, it would be difficult for Sasuke and Naruto who were far away. But she would definitely not be able to react if she was close to the woods. If she was lucky enough to miss a vital point, she might be injured. If she had been hit, she would have died suddenly on the spot. After experiencing life and death crises for 2 consecutive days, Sakura suddenly felt that her hands and feet were a little weak. She looked at Naruto unconsciously, hoping in her heart that her secondary personality Fengxu would come out to protect her. Sasuke and Sakura's words also made Naruto lower his guard. Then can't we cooperate? With excitement on his face, Naruto turned his head and looked at the battlefield in the distance that was obscured by thick fog. Kakashi-sensei's side must be in a tough fight. If we add the 4 of us, we can definitely turn the tide of the battle. As soon as Naruto finished speaking, a crisp voice took over. Although it's very presumptuous, I do want to cooperate with you. In the blink of an eye, Bai from a distance came to the front of the 3 of them. Although Bai's strength was estimated, the 3 of them were still stunned by this teleportation technique, which was much faster than them. The speed of the instantaneous body technique depends on the physical technique and the control of chakra. It's much faster than their Chunin level, and the worst one is a special Jonin. You should look similar to us, but I didn't expect you to be so fast. Naruto stepped forward with some familiarity, but Bai took a step back warily. My mission is to hunt down the traitorous ninja, so please don't waste your time. Shiro's retreat and caution made Sasuke and Sakura, who were observing from the side, feel relieved. If it were really an enemy, they would definitely take the opportunity to get close and attack them secretly. And Bai's retreat and caution are indeed just a simple desire to cooperate. Together with this kind of master cooperation, they will definitely be able to defeat Zabuza with Kakashi. After thinking clearly, Sasuke said, then don't waste time, we will take this person to support Mr. Kakashi. What about Uncle Tajuna? Sakura asked. Don't worry about me, just kill the enemy quickly. Dasna, who heard the discussion among several people, poked his head out from among the trees not far away. Seeing that Tajuna agreed, the three people who were worried about Kakashi's safety immediately nodded and rushed towards the thick fog. Bai behind him immediately followed, but his hands were behind his back holding the ninja seal. The strength of the three Narutos alone is not strong, but together they can kill Zabuza's water clone. So Bai didn't choose to use a sneak attack to destroy one. Instead, prepare to enter the thick fog and use a sneak attack to destroy two or all of them. As the four people entered the range of thick fog, Sasuke, who was last, quietly opened the Sharingan of Megatama and held the kunai tightly in his hand. Bai also quickly approached the three of them, holding out the ninja seal with his hand behind his back, ready to attack. Suddenly, Sasuke in front of him suddenly turned around and stabbed the shoulder of Shiro's arm behind him with the kunai in his hand. Clang! The senbon needle held by Shiro's other hand blocked the incoming kunai. When did I discover it? I should have hidden it well. The sounds of fighting and talking immediately attracted the attention of Naruto and Sakura in front. The two of them quickly came closer, staring at Bai with vigilance. What happened? Sasuke, why did you start fighting with him? Sasuke ignored the two of them, looked up and chuckled. I didn't notice it. It's just that you were too close and I could vaguely see one of your hands behind your back. I was worried about it, so I tried to test it. I didn't expect you to actually have a problem. Seeing the scarlet and black Megatama in Sasuke's eyes clearly, Shiro's voice sounded slightly surprised. It's Sharingan. Then it's no wonder that thanks to the hidden mist technique, your little moves can be discovered. Although he was discovered, Bai didn't feel angry at all, and his tone remained calm. But it doesn't matter, you have entered the range of my technique. Jutsu. Whoosh! There was no time for the three people to be shocked and question. Countless huge mirrors made of ice completely enveloped the three of them. At the same time, Bai in front of them took a step back and directly entered the mirror. Ice escape secret technique magic mirror ice crystal. Bai's voice came from all directions, and his person also appeared in the mirrors from all directions. Ice escape. Sasuke's expression changed. Everyone come closer, it's the blood successor limit. It was still the knowledge that Kakashi Kaikseaozeo told him. What is the limit of blood inheritance? Naruto and Sakura were a little confused, but they were still close to each other back to back. A powerful ninjutsu that can be passed down by blood, just like the Sharingan that Kakashi-sensei and I had. Naruto, tell Fengxu in your body quickly that we are in trouble this time. Just as Sasuke finished speaking, Shiro's voice sounded again. Since you know, please don't resist. I don't want to kill you, I just want you to lose your ability to fight. Stop being so hypocritical. Bai's words were interrupted by Naruto. Sasuke, Sakura, we have become stronger. We can rely on our own strength, just like killing that clone. He just hid in the ice wall, watch me break it and pick him out. After Naruto finished speaking, he rushed towards the ice wall in front of him. He had made up his mind not to let Fengxu help him, and he didn't even seek tactical help in his heart. He wants to prove that even without a sub-personality, his main personality can still work. Naruto, don't be impulsive. Sasuke was unaware and failed to hold Naruto back. Baiya frowned, so reckless, is this person really a ninja? But it doesn't matter, the battle is over. Ice escape secret technique, kill Shui Xiang. Chapter 37 Naruto, what is the difference between a king and a mount? The white in the ice wall, the moment when the nin seal is created. The mist inside the magic mirror ice crystal suddenly condensed into water in midair. Then it turned into slender ice crystal senbon needles. At the same time, Bai's figure suddenly rushed out and shuttled back and forth between the ice at extremely fast speeds. Whoosh whoosh! Black shadows that were difficult to detect with the naked eye shuttled rapidly, constantly creating wounds on the three people within range. And every time it enters the ice, the kunai will cut an ice crystal from the ice wall. These ice crystals turned into the same ice crystal senbon needles, floating in the air together with the previous ones. Damn it, I can't keep up with this speed. There are also those ice needles in the air, and Sakura has reached her limit. Sasuke, who was covered in injuries, was breathing heavily. Behind him, Sakura could barely stand. If Sasuke could barely block a few times, she was almost completely unable to withstand the attack. Asshole! Come out and fight me if you can. Naruto, who was in front of the ice wall, encountered the least attacks. Although he had many wounds on his body, he still had the strength to beat the ice wall. It's just that every time he hits the broken ice, it will silently condense into thousands of needles in midair. Sasuke obviously also discovered this problem and shouted fiercely. Idiot, stop destroying this ice wall and get out of that gap quickly. Sakura behind her also shouted in a weak voice. Naruto, stop being willful and do what Sasuke says. After we get out, let Fengxu come out and save us. Looking at the half-broken ice wall in front of him, Naruto did not look back. No need to call him, I can take you out right away. Even without him, I can still make you rely on me and I can still protect you. It'll be ready soon, just hold on. Sakura and Sasuke's shouting made Naruto confused at this moment. Why can't he save people? Why do we have to shout Fengxu when there is danger? Why did he have to give up his body? He is obviously Naruto. He is a member of Class 7. He is the owner of this body, a partner that everyone can rely on. Why do you have to look at his face and expect another person to appear? In consciousness. Sensing all the Fengxu, a toothy smile broke out from the corner of his mouth. It's time for a push. Naruto, if you can't do it, please give me your body. Just like Sasuke Sakura expected. I will come out to protect them for you, complete tasks for you, and respond to their expectations for you. After all, Fengxu's voice paused for a moment, mixed with a sense of pride that Naruto could sense. The one they expect to trust is Whirlpool Fengxu. Fengxu's voice was like adding fuel to the fire. This made Naruto completely angry and unwilling. No, I succeeded in breaking this ice wall right away. I can get them all out right away. They will definitely trust Uzumaki Naruto even more in the future. As long as we break the ice wall and get them out, as long as. Then let me help you. Fengxu's smile was full of malice. He shared his cage-level taijutsu with Naruto for a second. Outside world. Boom! The ice wall, which was only half broken, instantly collapsed under Naruto's blow. How can it be? Vi roared in surprise. Although he deliberately asked Naruto to destroy the ice wall to accumulate thousands of needles, he didn't really let Naruto break it? What happened in that moment of terrifying power? Although it's not enough, that's all it can do. Vi, who couldn't understand, didn't hesitate any longer. There were not even 1,000 needles condensed in the sky, but they all shot down the second after the ice wall shattered. Most of them were aimed at Sasuke and Sakura, and only a small part were aimed at Naruto who was on the edge. Naruto saw the outside world at this moment, and turned around and shouted with excitement. I succeeded, I will take you out. Before Naruto could finish his words, he was interrupted by a volley of senbon needles. These needles were all inserted into acupuncture points on his body. The pain and weakness made him unable to stand firmly. The pain worse than the body is heartache. Sasuke and Sakura, who had encountered more attacks ahead, were now paralyzed on the ground. Their whole bodies were covered with dense ice needles. A large amount of blood continued to gush out, staining the ground red. Naruto could clearly see the ice needles that penetrated his neck and chest, as well as his dull eyes. Just like the dead Mizuki, Abarame, and those root ninjas. It's not like this, it shouldn't be like this. That can't be the case dash. Along with Naruto's shrill roar, the system's message also came. Blackening value plus 25,000. Current blackening value, 28,000. Host personality trust and dependence value, 55%, cannot be dropped, 30%. The host personality has an emotional breakdown, and the host can switch personalities at any time. After receiving the news, Fengxu did not switch immediately. Instead, he applauded Naruto in his mind. Pa bang bang. The result is as you expected. Congratulations on successfully breaking the ice wall. Naruto's retort didn't come out. He stared blankly at Sakura and Sasuke who were lying on the ground. He kept mumbling it's not like that. Fengxu chuckled and continued to ask calmly. Naruto, do you know the difference between a king and a mount? It's not that childish guessing game about 2 feet and 4 feet, but 2 people with the same physical qualifications. Why is one a king and the other a mount? Naruto's eyes moved, but he still didn't answer. Fengxu continued without mind. There is only one answer. The king's talents and IQ are higher than the mount, so the king is the main mount and the auxiliary. The king can better explore and utilize himself. The king can use all methods to protect what he wants to protect. The king can use any means to defeat everything he wants to defeat. But mounts don't have these. Some are just mediocre, and some can only carry the king to complete everything and become the king's help. So, Fengxu took the initiative to switch personalities and appeared outside. And Naruto was forced to return to consciousness and look up. Why should I carry a weaker you to fight? Chapter 38 I am your master. Why should I carry a weaker you to fight? These words kept echoing in Naruto's mind. He couldn't refute, couldn't fight back, couldn't even speak. It has been almost 2 months since Fengxu appeared. But every time I encounter danger, Fengxu comes to protect me. Any difficulties encountered are solved by Fengxu. As for mediocrity, he only has the ability to seize the body. So why can he, who is weaker, become the king of the body? Host personality trust and dependence value, 60%, 35% cannot be dropped. Looking at the trust and dependence value that cannot be dropped again, Fengxu showed a satisfied smile. Ahead, Bai has already walked out of the ice wall. He held 4,000 needles made of ice crystals between his fingers and slowly approached. He also murmured quietly in his mouth. Don't be sad, they are all fine, they will be safe when they wake up. If you hadn't suddenly broken the ice wall and caused insufficient quantity, you wouldn't be so sad now. As he spoke, the Kanben needle in Bai's hand stabbed down like lightning. The targets were the acupuncture points on Naruto's neck and chest. He doesn't like fighting or killing, so his purpose is very simple. The purpose was to injure the 3 Narutos, then stimulate their acupuncture points to fall into suspended animation, and deceive Zabuza. Many enemies who seemed not bad before were let go by him like this. Only, click, what? Looking at Fengxu who grabbed his fallen arm, Bai looked shocked and angry. You were lying to me about your collapse and sadness just now. While frightened and angry, Bai pulled out the Kanben needle from his waist with his other hand and stabbed Fengxu's head suddenly. However, throat? The 1000 bone needles are blocked by a layer of blood-red chakra. What is this evil chakra? Without hesitation, Bai immediately wanted to retreat. But he couldn't break free from his grasped arm. The next second, puff, there was the sound of fingers touching skin. Fengxu, who was kneeling on the ground, stood up, grabbed Bai's neck with one hand and lifted him up. You did a good job just now, and I didn't lie to you. Fengxu raised his head, the scarlet vertical pupils in his eyes were breathtaking. The crazy and violent evil chakra in his body made Bai Xian frightened. It's as if the person in front of you is an evil ghost from the depths of hell. You are not him, who on earth are you? Bai was pinched and lifted up, struggling in midair like a little chicken. It was extremely difficult to speak. Who I am. Fengxu grinned, revealing his white gums. I will naturally be your future master. Call out. The beheading sword slashed across Kakashi's back, and then disappeared into the thick fog. Kakashi, can your eyes still copy my ninjutsu? Kakashi was speechless after hearing Zabuza's strong resentment. He just copied a waterspout and a waterfall technique, and it made Zabuza anxious. Besides, even with ninjutsu, he didn't take any advantage. On the contrary, the current chakra consumption is a bit large. You can't copy it, but I can see it quite clearly when you get close. He shook the torn clothes on his back, but there was no trace of injury or bleeding. Humph, if you can hold it off, your subordinates will be miserable, Zabuza said sarcastically with anger in his voice. You may not know, but I have a very powerful subordinate, whose strength is not inferior to mine. I guess all your little devil subordinates are dead by now, ha ha ha. Zabuza once again chuckled like he had for 2.5 years. At the same time, he appeared and slashed Kakashi in the waist. To be honest, I'm more worried about whether your subordinates can have intact corpses now. Kakashi turned around to avoid Zabuza, and at the same time took out the young man aiming from his waist and took a moment to look at it. There is also a monster among my subordinates, and he enjoys killing. Hearing Kakashi's relaxed and unworried words, Zabuza didn't believe it at all. Are you talking about the black-haired kid or the pink-haired kid? It can't be the stupidest yellow-haired kid, right? Zabuza appeared again, slashing the book in Kakashi's hand with his beheading sword. Giggle, giggle, I still have some free time to read. It seems that you are really not worried at all. You are as cold-blooded as our Kirigakuer ninjas. Kakashi lowered his arm slightly and avoided the attack. Just as he was about to say something, a strong gust of wind blew away some of the thick fog. At the same time, there was a huge impact, and Naruto's voice sounded in a Fengxu tone. Zabuza, it's not a good habit to speak ill of people behind their backs. Call out. In the thick fog, Zabuza, who was originally smiling playfully, turned his face dull. In front of his eyes, not even a thick fog could hide the blood-red palm that magnified infinitely. Then it hit him hard in the face, causing him to fly backwards like a missile. Is it the yellow-haired kid? Damn it, Chakra, what the hell are you? Not caring about crying out in pain, Zabuza immediately got up and dived back, swinging the decapitating sword high in his hand. And you have, bastard in your hand. What did you do to Bai? Facing the decapitating sword that came over and fell, Fengxu just stretched out 2 fingers and clamped it firmly. How is that possible? Fengxu's 2 fingers lightly made Zabuza open his eyes wide. Ignoring Zabuza's shock, Fengxu chuckled Kaido. He is very good. I can send you to see him right away. After saying that, Fengxu turned to look at Kakashi who was reading the novel. You can't even deal with a ninja of this level. Kakashi, you are such a waste. Asshole. It's just the power of the tailed beast. I've fought against it a long time ago. Being verbally insulted and not knowing whether he was alive or dead made Zabuza a little crazy. He can handle even the perfect Jinchuriki Yagura a few times. Is this yellow-haired kid more powerful than Yagura? With this thought in mind, Zabuza tried his best to take back the weapon with both hands. However, the pinched beheading sword did not move at all, as if it was stuck. Am I wrong? It's just a ninjutsu that can be solved with just one wind release. Kakashi. He has all attributes, but not all attributes are available? Otherwise, the title of Dr. Ninjutsu would not be Hiruzen Sarutobi, but hey take Kakashi? I'm not good at wind release. I'm useless. You'd better solve it quickly. Kakashi quickly retreated and raised his hands in surrender, as if he was surrendering the battlefield. Seeing that he couldn't get his weapon back, Zabuza simply let go and backed away, using his most powerful ninjutsu. Water-style waterfall technique. Zabuza's bulging cheeks spit out a huge amount of water that was enough to form a tsunami. Carrying the terrifying tidal power, it crashed into Fengxu ahead. It does have some power. Facing the water curtain that covered the sky, Fengxu calmly stretched out a finger. The 3 chakra fox tails behind him also aimed their tail tips at their fingertips. Let me try this legendary tailed beast jade on you. Chapter 39 The Tailed Beast Jade That Crushes Everything. When Fengxu's words fall, countless scarlet chakra mixed with a few blue chakra, quickly condensed in the center of the fingertips and the tip of the tail. In just the blink of an eye, a dark red chakra sphere the size of a basketball appeared. The next second, the sphere beat like a heart. The ensuing terrifying fluctuations swept out a circle of air waves. The fog within dozens of meters around was forcibly cleared. Then the sphere began to shrink rapidly, and in an instant it became only the size of a marble. The color of the whole body changed from dark red to a heart-stopping black. An aura that destroyed everything filled the surroundings. What's this? Kakashi, who hadn't run far yet, frowned into a frown. At the same time, a strong sense of panic and crisis emerged in his heart, driving him to stay away quickly. Zabuza, who was behind the large waterfall ahead, also felt the crisis of death. Even the crazy and angry look on his face was stagnant for a moment, and then he quickly retreated. Do you want to escape now? Late. The moment Fengxu spoke calmly, the unconscious Bai was thrown forward by him. At the same time, the tailed beast jade at his fingertips shot out like a bullet, following Shiro. Buzz! In an instant, everything fell silent, and the color of the world changed. The black sphere brought out a terrifying airwave channel in the air. The ground below was shattered layer by layer and splashed outward. Sizzle! The moment the black sphere touched the water curtain, the momentum of the waterfall stagnated, as if the pause button had been pressed. Then it was like hot oil hitting cold water, splashing and exploding. Countless steam drifted into the sky. The blasted water waves rushed to both sides, like deserters running for their lives. The black ball full of cracks continues its momentum, wrapping Shiro's body. He chased Zabuza, who was running away in panic. Damn it, I still have my long-cherished wish to fulfill. I still want to revive Kirigakure village. I can't die yet. Due to the excessive consumption of chakra and physical strength, Zabuza was a little disappointed with his speed. Before he could despair for long, there was a physical touch from behind. It was the black ball that brought Shiro into Zabuza's back. It's Bai. The familiar scent made Zabuza quickly turn around and hold Shiro in his arms. The original panic, regret and anger all turned into calm at this moment. To be able to die with him in the end was probably the last act of mercy shown to him by that yellow-haired kid. Along with Zabuza's final thoughts, the cracks on the black ball behind him suddenly expanded, revealing the terrifying golden-red energy inside. The next second, these golden-red energies violently rioted, and finally erupted from the cracks. Just for a moment, the violently expanding golden-red energy encompassed hundreds of meters of surrounding land. The land flew away, the trees fell, and the rivers flowed backwards. From a distance, it looks like a golden-red sun that destroys everything and blooms on the ground. It's like a divine punishment from heaven. The explosion lasted for 10 seconds before dissipating. The original woodlands and lakes have all disappeared. Some are just a bottomless pit hundreds of meters deep. Shiro, Zabuza, and all the materials contained within them were all turned into nothingness under that bright sun. This power. Looking at the huge pit hundreds of meters ahead, Kakashi broke out in cold sweat. Then he turned to look at Fengxu, who looked like a god and demon, with chakra fox tail floating behind him. Kakashi was helpless and frightened. The third Hokage idea seems to be on the way out. If you want to check and control this power, relying on Naruto alone to suppress it is tantamount to pulling chestnuts from the fire. Kakashi would not talk about these thoughts to Sarutobi Hiruzen. He could only describe what he saw. And Zabuza, in the face of true power, he can't even leave a corpse behind. Kakashi sighed and shook his head. Put yourself in your shoes. If he were Zabuza, he would definitely not be able to escape the explosion range with such a large amount of consumption. Besides, it's only been less than 2 months. However, the 9 tails chakra controlled by Fengxu has been upgraded by 2 levels from 1 tail to 3 tails. If we really faced him, we might have to use the uncontrollable power in Sharingan. Kakashi has a lot on his mind right now. He didn't even notice Fengxu approaching after taking back the 9 tails chakra. It wasn't until Fengxu threw the unconscious Shizuke and Sakura over that he woke up. Shizuke? And Sakura? What happened to them? Kakashi hurried forward to check. Although the 2 of them were dressed like they were injured and dying. But upon closer inspection, there were no wounds at all, and his breathing was very steady, as if he was asleep. It looks so miserable, but there are no injuries at all. Could it be? Kakashi raised his head and looked at Fengxu in front of him. Fengxu chuckled, obviously in a good mood. The injuries were serious, but I healed them. But mental exhaustion needs to be replenished through sleep. As soon as Fengxu finished speaking, news from the system came. Blackening value plus 12,000. Current blackening value, 40,000. Host personality trust and dependence value, 60%, cannot be dropped, 40%. Seeing that Shizuke and Sakura were not dead after being saved by Fengxu, Naruto in his consciousness was overjoyed. Reflected on the panel, the blackening value has increased by 12,000, and the trust and dependence that cannot be dropped has increased by 5%. Moreover, Fengxu could also sense what Naruto was thinking at this moment very clearly. It was roughly why he had to compete with his companions before and was injured, whether Fengxu could do better if he controlled his body, and other complex emotions. And the most important thing is that Naruto doesn't want to come out now, and he doesn't dare to face Shizuke and Sakura who are not yet awake. Fengxu was also happy to take control of his body for the time being, and was not prepared to say anything more to Naruto that would benefit him. Too much is not enough, as long as Naruto thinks according to what he said before, it won't be a big problem. Thank you for your hard work this time. Holding Shizuke and Sakura in one hand, Kakashi completely recognized Fengxu. Although compared to Naruto, Fengxu was very cruel in killing. But this is all for the enemy? They took great care of their partners in Class 7 and saved many life and death crises. Fengxu raised his eyebrows and was about to ask Kakashi about his erotic look. Dejuna stumbled over with a look of horror on his face. Ninja-sama, Cardo and his men are here. In the distance, Cardo, who was wearing plaster, came over with a large number of genin and warriors. Bah, Zabuza and that brat are indeed dead. They are two losers. But to be able to make such a big noise, it seems that you have gone through a life and death fight and both of you have been injured, right? Having said this, Cardo waved forward with a sinister smile on his face. He. Give it all to me. I leave it to you, Kakashi. Regarding the clown opposite, Fengxu yawned somewhat uninterestedly. After hearing this, Kakashi handed Sasuke and Sakura to Tajuna, who was standing aside. Angrily, he pulled out the kunao from his waist. I'm also your teacher after all. I'm really good at summoning people. Chapter 40 Conquering Zabuza and Shiro. Wild Woodland. The cold wind blew by, and Zabuza suddenly opened his eyes when he felt the cold. He sat up in an instant, covering his body and breathing heavily. I'm alive. No, that terrifying chakra clearly tore my body into pieces. Ah, Zabuza-sama, you're awake. Shiro's clear voice interrupted Zabuza's thoughts. He took the fragrant grilled fish and rushed over, running and jumping. White. You're not dead either. Looking forward to Shiro, whose face was full of excitement, Zabuza felt something touched his heart. A crack in the frozen heart quickly expanded and disintegrated the ice. Regardless of the grilled fish, he hugged him directly. Great, it's great not to die. What kind of ninja can't have feelings? What kind of person is just a tool? Now get all out of the way. After experiencing life and death, Zabuza no longer wanted to escape or paralyze himself. Feeling the moisture on his shoulders, Bai was stunned. Zabuza, who looked like Mart had been killing fish for 10 years and whose heart was as cold as a knife, actually cried. And this kind of warm and sincere emotion. Shiro felt that it must have been the previous explosion that blew up Zabuza's brain. Suddenly he turned around in a panic and shouted, Master Uzumaki Fengxu. You haven't healed the wound on Zabuza-sama's head, please come again for treatment. Whirlpool wind. Zabuza's true feelings disappeared instantly. I just wanted to push Bai away as hard as before, but when I got it, I just pushed him away gently. My head is fine. I just didn't deal with my emotions well after the disaster. After explaining with a dark face, Zabuza looked at the person who appeared in front of him. Then his eyes were as big as copper bells, and he quickly touched the beheading knife behind his back. It's you? That little yellow-haired Jinchuriki. Seeing how excited Zabuza was, Haku quickly stepped forward to stop him. Zabuza-sama, it was Fengxu-sama who showed mercy and let us go, and also healed our injuries. Fengxu also smiled and approached Zabuza. Bai is right. I let you go and cured you. What on earth do you want to do? Zabuza frowned and pulled Shiro down behind him. Do you want us to do something for you? Fengxu smiled and shook his head. It's not a help, it's a proxy. After all, I will be the master of you two from now on. Bastard. After hearing the word master, Zabuza swung the beheading sword again. But halfway through the swing, a heartbreaking pain spread throughout his body. Bai on the side also turned pale and groaned. At the same time, traces of scarlet chakra danced on their bodies like flames. What did you do to us? Zabuza was shocked and angry, and the severe pain made him stutter a little. They are just some small means to control your life and death, not worth mentioning. As they spoke, the scarlet chakra flames on the two men suddenly shrank. The heartbreaking pain also disappeared. The form is stronger than the human being, and his life is controlled by Zabuza. He quickly recognizes the reality. This time I admit defeat and treat it as if I have a different boss. But don't ask me to call you master, there is no way. Fengxu twitched the corner of his mouth, suppressing the nausea that appeared under his force. If you want to shout at me, it will only be in vain. With your appearance, if you are not disgusting yourself, I will be disgusted. Humph. Zabuza didn't care at all about Fengxu's comment. Just don't let him call him master like a slave. After beating Zabuza with a big stick, Fengxu also revealed the prepared sweet dates. It's not convenient for me to come forward, so I need you to do things for me. But don't worry, I only need you to do things for me for 3 years, and I will let you go free after 3 years. Of course, if you are perfunctory and don't bother to fool me, then be prepared to have no freedom for the rest of your life. After 3 years, Fengxu couldn't even imagine how far he would grow. When the time comes, Zabuza and Haku will naturally be dispensable. After hearing that he could still have freedom, Zabuza's expression improved significantly. Humph, as long as you keep your promise, we will naturally take care of you. That's good. Fengxu nodded and then continued. The restriction that controls your lives is also the power I give you. When you encounter a strong enemy, you can take the initiative to activate it, which can greatly enhance your body's activity and healing capabilities. If you can fully master the Wind of Nine Tails chakra, you can naturally lend this chakra to others. It's just that this chakra is very limited, only about dozens of Kakashi. Fengxu needs to be replenished after use. Moreover, this chakra also has the technique of Flying Thunder God. Not only can Fengxu be able to reach the two of them at any time, but he can also send Shadow Clone to supplement them at any time. Is it the Tailed Beast chakra? Zabuza took a deep look at Fengxu. Compared to Yagura, you are more like the perfect Jinchuriki. Bai on the side closed his eyes, sensing something, and then directly triggered the Nine Tails chakra. It feels so powerful. With the flame-like red coat rising from his body, Bai felt that his strength had risen to a new level. If Kirigakure's pursuit troops come again, I can kill them head-on by myself. Zabuza did not try the strength of Nine Tails chakra like Haku. He looked at Fengxu in front and asked directly, "What do we need to do next? What are the plans?" Zabuza's reliable look made Fengxu very satisfied. He thought for a while and then said, "Take over Kato's shipping company and use his money to set up an organization for my use. Of course, I will also compile a business development plan later, which requires you to develop the company into a world consortium spanning the ninja world. You should understand better than me the role of money in the entire ninja world. If you have money, you can hire ninjas to fight, just like the 5 major countries. Although the 5 major countries also have their own ninja warriors, they usually pay ninjas from the 5 major ninja villages to fight wars. They even hire other forces like the Akatsuki organization. If the ninja village needs to develop, it also needs money, otherwise consumable equipment such as concealed weapons, detonating charms, military food pills, etc. will not be available. Therefore, the relationship between ninja village and major countries is more like partners. Once they find that a partner does not meet their requirements, they may cut funds and hire other partners. Among them, Sand Hidden Village is the best example. Of course, these villages do not dare to rebel. There is no need to rebel. The first people they faced in their rebellion were other ninja villages hired by the state. Even if the rebellion succeeds, these ninjas can only fight and cannot govern the country at all. So in the final analysis, if you have money in the ninja world, you are the boss, and you can hire ninjas to fight, and even fund the establishment of ninja villages. Unless it causes public outrage, is beaten by a group like the Kingdom of Whirlpool, or encounters a perversion where one person destroys a country. Otherwise money can solve most problems. I see. Zabuza nodded. In fact, he had similar ideas to Fengxu, and they both robbed Kato of his company's development power. However, Fengxu is different from him in that he wants to continue to operate and develop the company. And he just wanted to set up an organization and take on tasks to make money like Ninja Village.